The latest highlights and news from the Next Round Live Daily Show. Jim, Lance, and Ryan will share their thoughts, and remember, you can always see the old shows on the Next Round Live YouTube channel. Subscribe, like, and don't forget to comment. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. It's Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
You've been wearing that thin, raggedy t-shirt for years now, and people cannot stop whispering and staring in your vicinity. We've all been there. Luckily, there's a solution to your lack of fashion and social cues. At NextRound.store, they have plenty of options when it comes to a variety of shirts and hats. Once you start putting that Next Round gear on, be prepared to make new lifelong friends and hundreds of unforgettable conversations. Hope you like random high fives in the street, because that's what you're getting after visiting NextRound.store.
Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The social media team at Next Round Live will share the latest interviews and videos from UAB, Alabama, Auburn, and campuses all over the college landscape. You'll also get the latest highlights and news from the Next Round Live Daily Show. Jim, Lance, and Ryan will share their thoughts, and remember, you can always see the old shows on the Next Round Live YouTube channel. Subscribe, like, and don't forget to comment. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. It's Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
You've been wearing that thin, raggedy t-shirt for years now, and people cannot stop whispering and staring in your vicinity. We've all been there. Luckily, there's a solution to your lack of fashion and social cues. At NextRound.store, they have plenty of options when it comes to a variety of shirts and hats. Once you start putting that Next Round gear on, be prepared to make new lifelong friends and hundreds of unforgettable conversations. Hope you like random high fives in the street, because that's what you're getting after visiting NextRound.store.
Want more of the show? Download the app or visit nextroundlive.com for the latest podcast, The Mystery Fifth Hour, our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call, and the entire Double Down Media podcast family. All at nextroundlive.com and on the Next Round app.
When the days are cold and the cards are fold and the saints we see are all made of gold, when your dreams all fail and the ones we hail are the worst of all and the blood runs still, I want to hide the truth, I want to shelter you, but with the beast inside, there's nowhere we can hide. No matter what we breed, we still are made of greed. This is my kingdom come, this is my kingdom come. When you feel my heat, look into my eyes. It's where my demons hide, it's where my demons hide. Don't get too close, it's dark inside. It's where my demons hide, it's where my demons hide. When the curtains call, it's the last of all. When the lights fade out, all the sinners crawl. So they dug your grave in the masquerade and calling out at the mess you made. Don't wanna let you down, but I am hellbound. Though this is all for you, don't wanna hide the truth. No matter what we breed, we still are made of greed. This is my kingdom come, this is my kingdom come. When you feel my heat, look into my eyes. It's where my demons hide, it's where my demons hide. Don't get too close, it's dark inside. It's where my demons hide, it's where my demons hide. They say it's what you make, I say it's up to fate. It's woven in my soul, I need to let you go. Your eyes, they shine so bright, I want to save that life. I can't escape this now, unless you show me how. When you feel my heat, look into my eyes. It's where my
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, and Rockstar. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the next round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
We'll get some good news, bad news in this opening segment here. The Pick 3 starts off in the next segment, brought to you by the wonderful folks at Buffalo Wild Wings. It is up now. Just checked it at the website, nextroundlive.com, nextroundlive.com. You can go play. If you are just on X or Twitter this morning, I've sent out a link there. Buffalo Wild Wings Pick 3. Go and play the games. See if you can go 3-0 for the Saturday games coming up. NFL football last night, baseball yesterday, more baseball today. College football rolls on today. Just glad that everyone's back together again. Let's start with the bad news first. LT gets excited about movies.
I've said this before, and by the way, I just noticed I finally looked you in the face today, and look what we've got, Brown.
It's amazing.
Matching hats.
I noticed it earlier.
It's just random-ass hats, too.
It really is. I noticed it earlier when you walked in. I was like, they got on the same hat again. This happens all the time.
Well, I'm going to keep pushing for the color combination of a next round of the blue and yellow.
Oh, I would like to get one with the creamsicle orange.
I got no problem with that either.
Yeah, because that red, this red here is sort of our red that goes with our creamsicle orange.
But I'd love to have a next round hat that can match up with my Rams gear, but this is kind of the closest blue that will kind of blend in a little bit.
And see, I pulled out North Carolina today, and I was like, this is the closest Carolina blue I had. Yeah.
So anyway, with that said, there's probably 3 times a year now that I get excited, maybe even less, maybe once or twice, that I get excited about a movie that's going to hit the theaters. And tonight, Killers of the Flower Moon, we talked about it in Bud Light Game Night last night. Super excited about this. The only thing I was worried about is trying to navigate this weekend. It's been a long week, and this movie's 3 hours and 26 minutes. And we can't go till later tonight because I'm taking the boys to dinner. So we were going to go late night, but I probably won't get out of there till like 1:30 or 2. So employee number 12 walks in this morning. He said, hey, are you going to see Killers of the Flower Moon? I said, absolutely. I'm trying to figure it out for tonight. He said, don't do it. It's awful.
Lunsford's saying the same thing in the chat room. It's getting bad reviews here in the next round movie reviews.
Is that where you were last night, or did Thompson play last evening?
I was a lot of places last night, but one of those was at the movie theaters, yes.
It was at the movie theaters because, Brown wasn't with us on our Bud Light Game Night, so we're ready to go at 6 o'clock. We're like, all right, Lunsford, hit go, man. And then we were like, we really hadn't heard from Lunsford. I wonder if he's there. And I was like, I'll get up and hit the button. And then I did the same thing I did once other, Brown. I was touching the touch screen.
Yep.
I was doing this, and then EG's like, I don't think it's a touch screen. And I was like,
I don't think it's a touch screen.
Yeah. That being said, so you were at the movies too, and you didn't think it was good?
No. It was incredibly. Look, I was excited for it. I mean, 12 and I both went to go see it opening night. I like Scorsese. I love DiCaprio. Like De Niro. It's got all the makings of being an absolute masterpiece, and not even remotely good.
Man, Chris H. from down in Louisiana. I saw it last night. Very disappointing.
I mean, this thing's getting destroyed.
Samuel, bad movie. Could have cut 2 hours. Terrible ending.
That's any 3.5 hour movie. 3.5 hours. You can't do a good 3.5 hour movie.
That's not true.
Give me one.
3.5, Gone with the Wind, which has been canceled, I thought was really good. Now, that's an epic Civil War movie, so you really do have to go deep on that.
Never saw it too long.
I thought Casino was long. I thought it was great. Trying to think of other really long movies that were great. Dances with Wolves, fantastic.
Never saw it too long.
Now, you play golf for 5 hours,
I
and
do.
golf is about
golf.
4 hours too long.
Also watch a 4.5 hour football game.
Love golf. I love football.
Paul,
Those are all good. That's the thing.
What
You
if
can't
it was a 3.5 hour documentary on the Dolphins?
How do you know it's not a good movie if you don't see it?
Yeah,
That's
and
too long.
not every game is good.
Well, it's not. I turn it off.
You watch 3.5 hours of bad football sometimes.
Actually, I do not. I turn those games off.
So if Auburn is playing this weekend, you don't watch all 3 hours of it?
If it's bad, I don't. I mean, I didn't watch all 3 hours of the Auburn LSU game. Did you? It was a blowout.
I had it on.
Well, you didn't watch it.
I was probably watching other screens more.
Okay, so I was
blowout.
disappointed The Irishman was long.
Yeah,
and I
terrible.
Wasn't terrible.
No, I thought it was awful.
I thought it was like a C+. Lunsford, where does it rank with you with The Irishman? Is The Irishman better?
No, this is better than The Irishman. I hated The Irishman.
Okay.
And look, I love Goodfellas. I love The Departed. I love Wolf of Wall Street. I love a lot of Scorsese stuff. The Irishman didn't do it for me, and this didn't do it.
Yeah.
The reason you say that is because some people are Scorsese people and some are not, right?
I mean,
so
yeah.
you're making a statement there that I like Scorsese's style.
There's a reason I was there opening night for it.
Yeah, but I didn't like this one.
No. And look, everybody's going to look at Rotten Tomatoes and say, yeah, it's got like a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever. Let me read you one review real quick from Rotten Tomatoes. Possibly the most overrated film of the year, Scorsese's direction is most definitely on cruise control here. The cinematic spark of so many of his great works replaced by somewhat sodden pacing, rather bland cinematography, and unadventurous editing. 2.5 out of 5. Guess what? That's a fresh review.
No.
Okay.
So whenever you look at Rotten Tomatoes and say, oh, it's a Scorsese movie, it's got over 90%.
I
don't believe it.
I typically agree with the critics with Rotten Tomatoes. There's no audience score. There might be a reason. But here was another critic review, by the way, Lunch, for the first one that I saw. This film takes its time, over 3.5 hours, but every minute is earned. This is a rare film that is not just excellent, but important.
Yeah. I bet
there's plenty of critics touching themselves to this movie. Don't get me wrong.
I look.
They do that with Scorsese, Tarantino. It doesn't matter.
No,
those kind of directors, they're going to do it.
I talked to
anytime.
number 12 about that. I just think if you're a true critic, you got to be honest, right?
Yeah, there's a good chance that guy ends up, he's at Scorsese's house a lot. He eats dinner with him.
100%.
This is actually a chick, so.
Yeah, well,
definitely.
there you go.
Here's
Here's the poll question. Bud Light poll question. Throw it out there, Taylor. Make sure you tag all the appropriate people like Scorsese and movie, whatever you want to throw out there, Rotten Tomatoes, whatever. Is Scorsese movie's version of Bill Belichick?
Well, like anything he does, you say it's good because he did it? I think that's true.
But now it seems to Bill Belichick's mailing it in this year.
No, I think you're 100% accurate on this, Dunaway.
Yeah.
Like Bill Belichick could draft a...
it's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
No, it is. Bill Belichick could draft a 150-pound guard out of Dartmouth, and you're like, oh, God, look at Bill Belichick doing his film study.
And dare I say it, DiCaprio and Mac Jones, we both bright futures, but now
please do not compare those
Can't
two.
complete the ball down the field.
DiCaprio, though, if he's in a better situation, may be a good star again. But this may have no talent around him, man.
That's a great comparison.
Our friends at Redmont gets us going. Yeah, our friends at Redmont.
Yeah, good start by you.
Starts us off. Tell us about Redmont.
Redmont Vodka, locally owned and operated. We've actually had some on the set this week. I pick up a bottle this weekend, available in 22 states. It's gluten-free. It's 8 times distilled. Ask for it by name if they don't have it. Tell them to get it. It is Redmont Vodka. You know, like Aviator I thought was good. I didn't think it was great, and it was long. I can be honest with myself, and I was talking to 12 about this. Like, if I don't like a movie, I'm going to tell you I don't like the movie. I'm not just going to say I like a movie because of who directed it and who's in it.
Yeah. No, I think you're honest about it.
Yeah, so I'm going to go see it for myself.
Yeah, I don't ever pay attention to the critics. I'm more interested in what the crowd thinks.
Like, I thought Gangs of New York was overrated.
Terrible movie.
Well, it wasn't terrible.
I thought it was. Couldn't watch it. I mean, I tried. I wanted to like it.
Are there any in-between movies for you?
It's either good or terrible.
And by the way, Saving Private Ryan is Michael.
250.
No, it's longer than that.
170 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's under 3 hours. That's the key. You can't go over 3 hours. It's classic.
The war did.
Oh, the war did. Yeah. I mean, that's what you're trying to do almost, it's a whole big war. 2 hours, 50 minutes.
It's a whole big war, guys.
That's a long movie
now.
See,
as overrated as you guys might think Scorsese is, somebody's talking about Interstellar, I think, and Interstellar was a good movie, I think that Christopher Nolan is overrated.
I like Inception.
He's too confusing.
Yeah, I like Inception. That's the only one I can 100% say of his I like. You may give me like another one. Like, I didn't know that was a Christopher Nolan movie. Oh, did he do the Batman that's got Heath Ledger in it?
Dark Knight, yes.
Yeah, I like that one too.
He did all 3 of those.
Oh, he did the one where the guy blows up
all the Christian Bale
Pittsburgh?
ones. Yes, Bane.
Yeah, where
Those
Bane
are all
blows up the
Nolan
Steelers.
movies.
I don't know if I watched that one. I've just seen that scene a lot. Pittsburgh.
He said, what, can I get a sponsorship that pays Brown to never, ever talk about a movie?
Sure.
That would be me out judging golf courses.
Oh, you say I'm not refined enough to say what a good movie is?
Well, I mean, you just haven't given, like, classics opportunities.
Which one?
Oh, my gosh. I mean, we need to keep a running. I mean, Rockstar, am I wrong on this? We'll bring up a classic movie, and you'll be like, I've never seen it.
Too long.
Well, I mean, I
Dances with Wolves is a classic movie.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Too long.
Yeah. Well, it is long, I think, right?
The Godfather was long.
Godfather's too long. That's the problem. I like Godfather, but you could cut a lot of that out. I mean, there's just a lot of extra dialogue you don't really need. They could have shrunk Godfather down to $1.30. It would have been a terrific movie. You wouldn't have missed a thing.
Again, I think 3 holes of golf is perfect.
Yeah,
3 holes.
Yep.
More in the Vulcan Tire and Automotive chat room if you guys want to continue that. Riley, did he do Interstellar? You did not. Interstellar was incredible over there. People were asking about Oppenheimer. Tim loves Oppenheimer. Killer of the Flower Moon was longer overall than Oppenheimer. Did you like Oppenheimer?
I haven't seen it yet.
You haven't seen that one yet?
I mean, I could just take a full day and watch those back to back, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Much more over in the Vulcan Tire
Take a
and
Red Bull.
Automotive chat room if you want to jump into some of those, Brownie, or tell us about Morse Marinade. Our friends at Morse Marinade get you ready for the weekend. Whether you're heading to see a movie or maybe catching a football game this weekend, Morse Marinade can be the perfect sidekick for that.
Oh, it can, man. You can be a grilling hero this weekend with Morse Marinade. Get in that backyard for this college football and NFL weekend and show those friends and family what's up, man, when you cook on the grill. Because Moore's Original Marinade has got lower sodium than the leading lower sodium marinade. I recently had a meal, and you could tell just way too much salt in it, and that sodium just dries you up. I hated it. But Moore's doesn't do that. They've got lower sodium, but you don't risk any of the flavor there. Delicious hickory flavor, whatever you're putting on the grill. Burgers, chicken, steak, pork, even veggies. Moore's Buffalo Wing Sauce adds the perfectly tangy flavor that will keep you licking your fingers even after the wings are gone. You can dip it, you can drizzle it, you can slather Moore's Buffalo Wing Sauce on everything you eat. Chicken fingers, burgers, sandwiches, pizza, pasta, tacos, fries, and more. See why grill masters prefer Moore's Marinades and wing sauces. Moore'sMarinades.com. You get recipe ideas and grilling inspiration there. Moore'sMarinades.com.
Daniel just made me chuckle in the Vulcan Tire and
What'd he
Automotive chat room. If Brown was a movie producer, he'd bring back the intermissions they used to put in films.
Oh, God. Been at an intermission.
I do remember the only film I ever saw with an intermission like being there was Alabama Theater with Gone with the Wind.
Yeah. Whew. Boy, if it's got an intermission.
Never seen Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
I've seen bits and
Have you
pieces
seen it?
of it.
I've seen the part where she comes down the stairs and he tells her basically
He doesn't give a damn?
I don't give a damn, and that's the part I've seen right there. I assume it's got other stuff than that. It's like the Civil War, right?
Yeah, it's based Civil War.
Is he's a general?
Clark Gable.
Clark Gable?
Yeah, I think he's an ex-general, and he's just
Ex-general.
kind of a ladies' man now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the lady in it was...
that was Scarlett was, oh my gosh, how am I forgetting this
don't
now? Vivian Lee.
Okay. Yeah, I've never seen it.
It's very good.
She owned
But it's been
a
canceled.
plantation, right?
She did own a plantation, yes.
Back in the Civil War time. What else? What else you like, Rockstar? Movies? What kind of movies you like, man?
Okay, we can
move on.
No. I was just wondering. I mean, you don't jump in on which ones do you like? I mean,
I loved Interstellar. I love Christopher Nolan, but I'll say when a movie's bad. I'm not going to be like, I'm not like dependent on the director. I read the book Killers of the Flower Moon. It was an amazing book. That's what inspired me to ask Saban that question. It's a very sad book. But I told Lunsford before, the critics even, I told him, 2 weeks ago, I was like, this just doesn't look good to me. And I love the book. It looks like it's just dragged. I don't like Leo in this part. I didn't see him in the part.
Hey, who would you like? I don't know much about it. I know it was like serial killings of that tribe based on the fact that they had all of that oil and that land and that money.
They were placed there in Oklahoma because there was just nothing but barren land. And they struck oil one day. And they're like, well, the white men tried to get the land back and like, well, we're going to give you guys, y'all have too much money because all the money went to the Indians. You guys have too much money. You're not responsible for it. So you have to have a white person who's like a babysitter that takes care of your finances. If you want to buy a toothbrush,
I take it that's Robert De Niro.
You have to. Yeah, he's the head honcho.
Yeah.
You have to ask for this white person to, and then murders start happening to get their money and their insurance. And people try to marry an Indian so I can marry that money.
Well, I tell you, we dicked over the indigenous people. It's like,
It's
you've
really
got
sad.
Manhattan Island. You don't need all this land. You know what? I've got a bottle of whiskey from the old country across the pond. I'll trade you this bottle of whiskey for this island. Let's do it. That's where it starts.
Killers of the Flower Moon, Friday.
I'm going to see it tonight, so I'll send it out after the fact.
thank you last night to the fine folks at Tin Roof and Adams Beverages. We had a good time down there for Bud Light game night. We will be out at Odie's in Homewood next Thursday night. Odie's in Homewood, which is always fun. We talked a lot of Lance's Lock stuff last night. Great opportunity to hop in. Lance's Lock last night. How'd you end up doing?
I'm glad you know the answer before, or you don't know the answer before you ask the question, because I could have been 0-4, but I was 2-2.
Well, we're transparent all the time.
We are.
Yeah, it's
not
2-2.
Great place to start that this movie's going to be horrible, and then if I would have gone 0-4, but 2-2.
I mean,
here's what happened.
It is what it is, man. We get going.
James
Scorsese was 0-5.
Madison is a good football team. I thought Marshall would show up, and I didn't get on the couch because we left tin roof. By the time I got it was 3-2. I was like, am I watching baseball? And Marshall had just gotten a safety, and then they go straight down after a turnover. They get in the red zone, they turn it over, and then it's all JMU after that. So lost that. We did have Rice, and my man JT Daniels had a big night. So we won Rice. Then we had the over, and the Rangers-Astros got over easy at 13, and then it came down to the Saints.
Yep.
And this Saint team is just not good. Derek Carr, I don't remember him whining as much as he whines now.
Yeah, he would not be good with that tin roof sign, no bitching and whining.
Nope.
Yeah, he does. I mean, even during the game.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
He's
I mean,
over
if
looking
you're
at
the
his coaches,
leader
yes.
of this team, and it's still early, you were only a half a game back
I guess,
in the NFC South going into that game last night. And in game, you can't have these little mini meltdowns and pointing fingers.
I think the Raiders organization, some of the coaches and some of the players who played there said this about him, and I just never saw it and never believed it. I thought he was a good quarterback. Like, why is this guy catching so much heat? I think he's a pretty good quarterback, relatively speaking, to what you could have.
Yeah,
at the
I agree.
quarterback position. But watching him last night, and he could be just he could be bipolar and have good days and bad days. I relate to that. He could be having a bad night last night, but he was bitching and moaning the whole game, play calls and position groupings and everything.
Well,
drop balls.
We've gotten some bad break. I can't. Yeah. So I mean, we do dog him out, and then Foster Moreau on third down,
right in his hands.
I've heard somebody say, I believe off the couch after a couple of cocktails, I catch that 8 out of 10 times.
You've heard somebody say what?
That hey, look, if I was in the game, I could have made that kick, or I could have caught that. I mean, that was one of those that.
I mean, he hit him right in the hands.
Yeah.
I mean,
and boy, he was beat up. But
he had to go a little high for it. But I mean, come on, man.
Get that touchdown, go to overtime. I feel good that we cover.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah, in overtime it usually, because it was more than 3 points, right? Usually.
Yeah, no, it was. It went off New Orleans -2.
Oh, okay. Ooh.
I just felt like they would have had the momentum, but they brought back bad memories of last week getting down to the 6-yard line, 1st and goal, and not getting in. That's what the Seahawks did.
Yeah, Sam's right. Jimmy must feel really great in the NFC South, sitting up in his high castle with his quarterback situation in Baker freaking Mayfield.
I mean, I remember in the offseason saying, well, the Saints obviously have the best quarterback situation in that division.
It felt like it.
Yeah, I did.
I agree with Paul, though. The 4th down call to throw a fade to 6-foot Chris Olave.
I hate the fade.
I mean, the percentage.
It's the laziest call.
It is.
It's the laziest call in
If
football.
you've got Calvin Johnson, I don't have a problem with it necessarily, because he can climb the ladder, body control. He would make that catch. It was a terrible throw. It was thrown on the wrong side of Olave, and basically they were just trying for a bailout on a PI.
I think a coach should be fired for calling a fade on 4th down.
It should be illegal.
Yeah, I think so. That it should be
I
a
don't have a
penalty.
problem with that.
They threw a fade. It's a 5-yard penalty because the fade, I hate it on any down. It's the worst football play out there. But at least on 1st, 2nd, or 3rd down, I know you're trying to throw a pass that's probably not going to get intercepted.
But
I know
you
that's
will
what you're
give
doing.
me if you have a Kyle Pitts or a Drake London, or if you've got a Mike Evans, or you've got a Calvin Johnson. I don't mind a fade, not on 4th down. I don't mind a fade, on one of those downs if you've got a guy that is 6'4", 6'5", who can go up.
On one of the downs.
Yeah,
one of the downs.
Give me
Not 4th down.
Right.
No,
Because
and
why
to
do you
Chris
run the
Olave.
fade?
Yeah.
Why do you run the fade?
Because you've got a mismatch, and it's you got some other.
Now you've got a 5'11" corner against a 6'4" receiver.
Yeah, but he can out-jump him in the middle of the end zone. I'm
And
just
you
saying
run a fade if nobody's expecting the fade, too.
You run a fade because it almost never gets intercepted. That's why you run a fade. That's what I'm saying. So why run it on 4th down?
down,
Because if
doesn't
it gets intercepted, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, because you're throwing it basically in a situation where it's either a catch or it's incomplete.
That's right. It's a catch or normally out of bounds, one of the two. It's almost never going to get intercepted.
Yeah, but to your point, having everybody running non-fade routes and having the option to maybe run it in or throw it in multiple places. Olave's a pretty good route runner. Just a bad ending to that game. Jags win it 31-24. I hit my mybookie.ag over on that one. It's the first time I think the Saints have gone over all year long, so a good win for me there. So mybookie.ag will tell you more about them a little bit later on in the show if you want to jump in. Use lanceslock.com. We throw up QR codes all the time to jump in, both with mybookie and lanceslock.com throughout the show. When you see a QR code on your screen, scan it and take advantage of great opportunities we have for you the rest of this football season. James Madison, by the way, back to them. I really wish the NCAA would step up and say, the rule that we have on the books is stupid. Let's let James Madison play for and win the Sun Belt Championship. Let them play in a New Year's Six Bowl or make a playoff if it shakes out that way, whatever. but James Madison can't do it. And by the way, I did checking. Jack State can't go to a bowl game either.
Yeah.
They're bowl eligible, but they can't go to a bowl game.
I think I heard somewhere that there is a way if they can't fill all the bowl eligible teams, but that's a shot in the dark. I really don't understand why.
Well,
here's
Seems
the like
thing.
A dumb rule.
Yeah, if you're James Madison, back to them, and you're in the Sun Belt, and you're the best team in the Sun Belt in their first year, that's more of an indictment on the rest of the Sun Belt.
Exactly.
Sun Belt's a great conference too, but if the Dukes are undefeated or they win that conference right now, which by the way, they've got a good game and a half lead right now over Georgia State and Old Dominion.
Yeah, so they won't even play in the Sun Belt championship game because the Sun Belt doesn't want to screw themselves on possibly getting a New Year's Six bowl. So they don't want them to be the champion because the New Year's Six bowl goes to the highest rated conference champion. And so they want to, and since James Madison can't be the conference champion, they won't even be in the championship game.
Hey.
It's just so stupid. And even if it is a rule, 1 year. Why does it have to be 2 years? It's such a stupid number.
It really is. James Madison was such an arbitrary rule. Yeah.
James Madison was good last year. Why are you going to sit here and screw them over year after year? They should change it right now. We've had teams, 1,000 teams, change conferences and divisions and blah, 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 blah. Just get rid of the rule. Just get rid of the rule. And I do see people talking about trying to get Jack State and James Madison to play in a bowl game. That's not the same. Just not the same.
Hey, honest question, though. If Mississippi State played a Sun Belt schedule this year, what would their record be?
If James Madison, South Alabama, Troy, Georgia State, Old Dominion, some of those teams are on it.
Texas State.
Yeah, if I could pick
South Alabama.
If I could pick the 8 best Sun Belt schools, I think Mississippi State would end up
4-4,
3-5, 4-4.
Guys, come on.
Yeah.
State would be 3-5 in the Sun Belt.
I mean,
State
James Madison is a tough out. Georgia State is a tough out. Troy and South Alabama are tough outs.
Listen,
those are good teams.
State
listen,
would win the
I'm
Sun
worried
Belt.
about Tennessee.
You're worried about what, Tennessee?
Coming to Tuscaloosa.
Okay.
I'd be concerned if James Madison was rolling in tomorrow.
No, you wouldn't.
Yes, James Madison, Bama.
I think James Madison, Auburn, you could start to, and I still think Auburn wins that game. James Madison's good.
Yeah, a lot of respect for Kurt Cignetti. It'd be another former Bama assistant.
We'd have to hear the stat again.
Yeah, have to hear it again. All right, we'll get to some serious conversation about the Pick 3 brought to you by our friends at Buffalo Wild Wings. In the next segment, we'll start running through the rest of these games and a lot more. Lunsford has that ready for you at nextroundlive.com, nextroundlive.com. The show's being brought to you by Hydra Live. Boy, it's been a long week, LT. You could have used a little Hydra Live pick-me-up today, couldn't you?
I really could have done away. IV therapy, compression therapy, B12 injections, all under one roof. You can't make it to Hydra Live, not a big deal. They can actually send a nurse to your place of business or home. Again, mention Next Round at checkout. You're going to save 20% off any of those great services. 2 locations in Birmingham, the newest in Greystone, 1 in Homewood. They're open 7 days a week, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. For more information, HydraLiveTherapy.com.
The National Football League with ESPN's Dan Orlovsky every Wednesday on The Next Round.
Hey, Lance Taylor from The Next Round. You've heard me for years talk about our friends at Bromberg's Jewelers, and we welcome you to stop by and see that great customer service at the Mountain Brook and Summit locations, but we'd also love for you to check out their new online shop. They've got plenty to choose from. Great gifts, big and small. Available online, they've got David Yurman, Tudor watches, select diamond and gemstone jewelry, William Henry, seasonal and favorite giftware items and baby gifts as well. They've even got an online sale section. For more information, brombergs.com.
Do you need extra cash handy? Look no further than Legacy Credit Union for whatever loan your lifestyle requires. It only takes a few minutes to apply and request the amount you need to give you peace of mind. With affordable low rates and manageable payback plans, a Legacy Lifestyle loan is crafted just for you. Apply online today at LegacyCreditUnion.com/join. Lifestyle loans from Legacy. Terms and conditions may apply. Legacy is federally insured by the NCUA.
Going to a big football game? Walking around all day? Then you'll want comfortable shoes. This is Wes McClooney, owner of the New Balance Birmingham store. Score a touchdown with a new pair of ultra-comfortable running or walking shoes. Come to the New Balance Birmingham store. I'm telling you, we'll make sure you have a perfect fit and we'll treat you like the starting QB. Our job is to make sure your feet are happy. Visit the New Balance Birmingham store on Highway 280 next to Chick-fil-A. Your feet will thank you.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop. Rare quality, well-done service.
Red Wing Shoes is pleased to announce the ultimate fit and comfort savings event during the month of October. Mention the next round and receive a special discount of up to $30 off. Visit your local Red Wing Shoe store in Pelham or Trussville to have your feet electronically measured. A certified fit specialist will then recommend the proper footwear and orthotic to ensure you receive a comfortable pair of boots or shoes. So be prepared as the fall weather begins to change. Enjoy a pair of classic Red Wing Pecos pull-ons, Heritage Iron Rangers, or Vask hiking boots from Red Wing.
Make sure to start your day at nextroundlive.com. Get caught up on the latest podcasts and videos from the live daily show, plus specialty shows such as the Mystery Fifth Hour. You can also learn more about the whole staff at Double Down Media, find all of our social media feeds, see the latest videos from our YouTube channel and gaming channel, plus find other ways to consume the show like the Next Round mobile app, which you can download direct from the site via your iOS and Android device. Make nextroundlive.com your homepage and stay up to date with everything from us here at the Next Round.
Our friends at New York Butcher Shop brings us our steak bet every day. New York Butcher Shop, where I'm 9 up. I got Penn State plus 4.5 in tomorrow's biggest game in the country. And but there's a couple I got to get back to you. If I win this Penn State game, I got to go ahead and concede a couple of these coming up. I was looking at it the other day. I'm trying to figure out which one. Tell me about New York Butcher. I'll tell you one. You've got to get ready to concede.
2 locations. The original in Cahaba Heights. There's one out in Greystone. Is tonight date night, steak night for you?
Absolutely is. Already told to my wife about it. Date night, steak night tonight.
Yeah, so I've got Jack and his buddy Ryan Kozlik. Shout out to the Kozliks. Go Ravens. They are going to go to dinner with me, and I kind of just want to do steaks for them.
Oh, you should.
Yeah, look, I mean, they've got a great selection of desserts, fantastic wines. They've got all the sides ready to go. I mean, everything is right there for you. Jim can get those steaks dusted up for you. Stop in. Tell him the Next Round sent you. Rare quality, well-done service. It's the New York Butcher Shop.
The one that I haven't checked the stats, so I'm not conceding it yet. I'll do a little research. But I do have Peyton Thorne throwing more touchdown or having more total touchdowns, counting rushing, than Devin Leary of Kentucky. I would imagine Leary's ahead because I know
it ain't going to be by much.
Okay, well, I'm not going to concede it then. I haven't checked, but I know Peyton's thrown for 4. I don't know how many he's run in because usually you go to red zone Robbie.
Yeah, I would say Peyton's got 5 total touchdowns. I bet Devin Leary's got like 7.
Oh, well, then I'll hold my water then.
Yeah, hang on, Jimmy.
I was ready to punt that one.
Peyton Thorne has got 2 rushing touchdowns.
4 passing because I know he's got 4 passing and 4 interceptions.
So that's good. No, he's got 8 passing. Peyton Thorne's got, no, you're right, 4 passing. And then Devin Leary, Jimmy D, has thrown for 14.
Yeah, I thought it was, yeah.
Well, I guess they did some mop up.
Yeah.
When I
he's only rushed
Devin
for
Leary,
1. He's only rushed for 1.
Yeah.
So I got you doubled up right now.
Yeah. So
injuries happen.
Yeah,
benches happen. I don't think Leary's going to be benched, but I could see your guy get benched.
Yeah.
We will start off our Buffalo Wild Wings pick 3 in a second and get to more on that game. But I want to tell you, we're celebrating Wayne's 50 years of Wayne's, man. What a great company. Anytime you do anything for 50 years, you know you're doing it right? Because a lot of companies start in 1 year or 2 years and they're done because they're not good at it. Wayne's has been doing it for 50 years, world-class pest control and termite protection. And because it's the 50th anniversary, you can save $50 on your pest control and your termite protection if you just go to the website callwaynes.com. Callwaynes.com. If you ever are asked to put in a promo code or ask where you heard about Wayne's, we always love it when you say TNR or the Next Round. But our friends at Wayne's, regardless, wants to give you $50 off pest control, termite protection, all right there is a way of saying thank you. New customers or existing customers, call Waynes.com, callwaynes.com. Pest control, termite protection, they do lawn care as well. It's our friends at Wayne's. Football tonight as well. Another one of those games not too excited about, SMU Temple. Lance'sLock.com may have a play on that one coming up in a little bit. But right now it is time for the Buffalo Wild Wings. Pick 3. Hit the song. Tyler, man, do it.
Pick 3, it's time for the pick 3. 3 for you and 3 for me, that equals a pick 3. Say goodbye to your family, it's time for the pick 3. Only time that I'm happy is when it's time for pick 3.
Pick 3 is brought to you by our friends at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah, 11
Lance.
Central Alabama locations, including the new Buffalo Wild Wings Go location right there in Vestavia. They've been the #1 sports bar in Birmingham for over 20 years now. Wall-to-wall TVs, 26 sauces and seasonings, along with the full menu of great burgers, wraps, and salads. Get in this weekend to Buffalo Wild Wings.
All right, here's Andy Burcham last night with Hugh Freeze on Tiger Talk on the Auburn Network, where Andy flat out asked him about the plans at quarterback.
What is the plan with regard to the quarterbacks? Can you talk about that at this point?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's obviously we try our best to judge things based on what we see in practice. And, of course, we grade every rep. And, we continue. We have there are things that one does really well in practice, and there's other things that other ones do really well in practice. And, just trying to find a balance of both. And it's been difficult. It's not all the quarterbacks all the time. It's been a mixture, a combination of depth of routes and winning on the routes and protection issues, and that's kind of been some of our issues. And we've just got to clean those up, and hopefully this is the week that we do it. We seem to be better at home.
Yeah, better at home for sure. But Brownie, just your gut, or maybe you're reporting, but if I just go gut, does it feel like there's a change coming?
I have no reporting it would be gut. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, I was curious what Freeze's answer was because, and this is no shot at Andy at all, but normally a coach's show is pretty safe territory from those types of questions, right?
That's right.
Unless a caller asks it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe that was an emailer or a caller, I don't know. So for Andy to ask that made me feel like maybe Hugh Freeze is like, hey, if you get a chance, just ask me about the quarterback situation. You think that's maybe what happened?
Spot on.
Yeah, that's. But, then Hugh didn't really just do anything that immediately cleared it up. You know what I'm saying? So
Well,
I don't know why he would have done that.
I mean, there's not a good option.
There really isn't.
I mean, there is not a good option. You've got – I would stick with Peyton Thorne, I think.
So really, after last week on the road, you would say, I'm going to run into this with Peyton Thorne and not give Robbie Ashford.
Robbie Ashford is one of the most inaccurate quarterbacks I've ever seen.
Well, so what is Peyton Thorne, though?
A little more accurate. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
124.2 passing yards per game is the average.
Yeah, I mean, you put the guys together, I think they're completing roughly 57% of their passes. A former – don't want to bring this up, but a former Auburn quarterback leads the FBS in completion percentage, 78% Bo Nix.
He's a little better offense.
Yeah. I would tell you that Taylor Korn said it last night. While we were waiting to do Bud Light game night at Tin Roof, she says if you could put Peyton Thorne's experience of playing quarterback and his ability to read and recognize things quickly and Robbie Ashford's ability to do the things he does really well, like put those two quarterbacks together and somehow take the best parts of each, and that you may have a really good quarterback situation. The problem is, it's not a Dr. Frankenstein situation. Dr. Freeze,
if I was as fast as Chili, I could probably get out there and return punch for the Rams.
I mean, I just think I feel like you play. If I were the coach, and the next game I coach would be my first one, I feel like maybe you just go Ashford. You deal with some of the mistakes you would get in the passing game. But I think you've got a big upgrade in the run game with Ashford in there over Peyton Thorne.
Yeah, I just don't think you guys went, or I think it was you that talked about just run Service Academy football.
Yeah, I mean, I'd find all my wing T plays. Yeah.
I mean, that's what you have to do with Ashford. Ashford just cannot throw the football.
Yeah, but I mean, and I get that Thorne is thought to be a better passer than Ashford, but even if he really is a better passer than Ashford, you can't throw the football right now. That's why I don't know. It seems like Ashford would be the better option.
This is the Buffalo Wild Wings pick 3. You can go play the Auburn game if you choose one of the mini games. You pick the games right there at nextroundlive.com, nextroundlive.com. Try to go 3-0 and get a ball in the bucket, win the big prize at the end of the year from our great friends at Buffalo Wild Wings. All those great locations, Buffalo Wild Wings pick 3. Maybe you want to play the Tennessee and Alabama game. Last night, Jenny Dale of CBS, they've got the game this weekend, the main crew, 2:30 CBS. She's the media guest sitting in the Jim Dunaway Memorial chair right there next to Nick Saban. And she asked about the players telling her, well, let's just say that it's a word that's been used often this year by a guy who appears in commercials with Nick Saban. Here's Jenny Dale last night on Hey Coach from the Crimson Tide Sports Network.
I was able to speak with a lot of players this week, and they all shared the sentiment that you said this game coming up is personal. So how much of a revenge factor is there with Tennessee coming in?
No, I don't think it's personal just from a revenge standpoint. I think, the players know that what this game means to a lot of people. This is like our big rivalry game. Auburn's a big rivalry game too. I don't mean to disrespect anybody from saying that, but from way back when, Coach Bryant, their stadium's named after people that made this rivalry what it is. This means a lot to a lot of people, and I think our players know that. I think that makes it personal. I don't think there's any doubt that, when you lose the game the year before to whoever you play, that's hurtful. You don't have a great feeling at the end of the game. You feel very disappointed, and that disappointment stays with you. And I'm sure that, that's a motivating factor for some folks as well.
If Coach Saban was more Shane Beamer and really in tune with social media, it would have been funny if they'd had video of Saban in a team meeting saying, they beat us last year and rushed the field, and they made it what?
Personal.
Personal.
Yes.
If he did the whole Dion thing, that'd be a great bit.
We were talking last week how amazing it was that Saban's 17-0 at Alabama against Arkansas. If they would have won last year, if it was Jahmyr Gibbs making the grab, a defensive adjustment on Jalen Hyatt, Reichard, makes that kick, then we're talking about 16 consecutive wins against Tennessee. By the way, in that 15-game win streak, Tennessee never scored more than 24 points in any of those games. Now, they busted out with 52 last year, and Hyatt had the 5 touchdowns. And I brought this up on Bud Light Game Night. I bet you don't know this. Heupel in his 6 years as a head coach, Central Florida and Tennessee. Last week, the 20-13 win was the first time he's ever won a game as a head coach scoring less than 30 points.
How about that?
Yeah, less than 30, not less than 21.
Yeah.
Less than 30.
I mean, that's pretty crazy, though, in 6 years. I mean, that's pretty big
But Dunaway brought this
sample.
up. It shows you that Heupel is a good coach. Say what you want about him. I know it was a bad look against Florida earlier this year. Everybody has a bad look every now and then. But the guy is winning 2 different ways. Last year in shootouts.
Yep.
This year he's running the football and playing great defense.
Nick Saban would never talk about a winning for revenge because that's just it's now he may talk about it behind closed doors, but he was never going to publicly because it's different from the public narrative that he likes to share. Is that you're not driven by factors like that, right? You're driven by doing your best every single play, and if 11 do their best and do what they're supposed to do every single play, you're going to win the game. Revenge that's an external factor, right? That's something you don't draw from. You don't draw from revenge. Now, inside the building, that might be a little bit different.
Yeah. Before this turns into a big thing over there, I was joking about the chair. I would never, ever, ever think I was going to be memorialized on that chair. And obviously, if it was, it would be the great Cecil Hurd. So I don't want to get that to be a thing over in the chat room. It was a joke on my part because I said it earlier this year. Speaking of external factors, Nick Saban, I did this with Ryan Day yesterday, so I'll do it with Nick Saban too. Cut 7 rock star Nick Saban on Hey Coach last night. He's done this a couple of times in his time in Tuscaloosa, but Ryan Day did it this week, and I think this shows you the parity where we are in college football. Ryan Day did this for a home game in Columbus against Penn State earlier this week. Nick Saban of Alabama for a home game against Tennessee last night on Hey Coach.
Well, we talk about what a great rivalry game this is and what a big game it is, but it should be a big game for everybody. Everybody's on the team, all the fans, everybody. And the fans in this game should have a huge impact on this game. I mean, you can have a huge impact with the noise that you make. This team's trying to go fast. They run 2.7 plays every minute in the game. So you can affect that and disrupt that by making noise. And it's going to create energy and environment that our players will play better in. They'll be able to sustain their intensity better in, which is what we lost last week. Because it's going to take that kind of game for 60 minutes. These guys make a lot of explosive plays. They go fast. So it's going to be one of those kind of games, and everybody's got to stay with it, and you got to play the next play and stay in it as fans. All right, and you create the momentum of the game by what you do. All right, as fans, don't worry about the players creating it. You create it for them. One time I'm asking you to do that. All right, that's it.
One time.
Okay, well, here's one of the problems. This is not your big brothers, Nick Saban, Alabama teams. They have trailed in 5 of 7 games this year. I can't really remember that ever happening with Nick Saban teams.
That's wild.
And for 7 games, they've trailed for a total game time of 111 minutes. All of last year, 116 minutes combined.
Yeah, but you go back to some of those one-loss teams that got in the playoffs, that was always game control was a stat you would hear, how Alabama has led most of the game all season long. They've only trailed so many minutes, and it has been very different in this contest. So, too, is both these teams from last year. You mentioned it on how different they are. Each team is only allowed, each side now, Tennessee and Alabama is only allowed more than 21 points once this year, each of their losses.
Yeah.
Alabama 34 to Texas, 29 to Florida. Nobody else, they haven't allowed over 21 any other time.
I wonder, and obviously I know what Nick Saban is saying, is they do try to run fastball offense, and the louder you can make it, the more complicated it could be. But I also wonder if he goes on the road and sees how these road atmospheres, last year in Knoxville, this year in College Station, how those road atmospheres affect his own team. They're jumping off sides. They're having stupid penalties, pre-snap penalties. And a lot of that is because of crowd noise. And he's like, man, if we could just get a little more of that. Because Bryant-Denny Stadium is one of the nicest stadiums in America. And it's a good fan base. The Alabama fan base is an amazing fan base, educated fan base. But their fans don't always make it the most difficult place to play.
Well, there are 3 things that shut a crowd down, a home crowd. And that is a turnover, that's the opponent scoring, and that's a sack. And when you look at these Alabama quarterbacks, they've been sacked at least 4 times in 6 straight games. And Tennessee gets after the quarterback. They've got 24 sacks on the season. That could be a big problem.
Yeah. That works out. Easy math, by the way. They're averaging 4 sacks a game.
Right. And Dunaway, you go to a lot of games. Crowd's gotten better at Bryant-Denny over the years. I'm not saying that it hasn't, but we still get people saying, I stand up and get yelled at for standing up at Bryant-Denny Stadium. So, I mean, it is not the most intimidating place to play in the world because of the crowd.
Right.
It's normally the most intimidating place to play because the crowd's good and the team's amazing most of the time under Nick Saban.
More Buffalo Wild Wings Pick 3 coming up as we move throughout the show. That was just the Auburn and the Alabama games. We've got all the other games going on in college football that we'll get to. We've also got, coming up on the other side, 4 Downs. Lance has that for us today. The show's being brought to you by our friends at Woodhouse Day Spa. Tell us about that, LT.
Okay, so the gift of luxury. You've got the holidays right around the corner, and one of the things you need to do is make sure you take care of wife or girlfriend, and you can do that from our friends at Woodhouse Day Spa. They're conveniently located right there at the Summit Shopping Centers, but you can also buy gift cards 24/7 online. These are great gifts. Doesn't matter the time of season. Again, you want to sit around and watch football all weekend. Buy it at birmingham.woodhousespas.com. They've got a menu of over 70 options, including massages, body treatment, skincare, waxing, nail services. Again, stop by or order online 24/7, birmingham.woodhousespas.com.
Call the next round now at 205-734-0923.
Man, I love a good meal. I'm Jim Dunaway. A good meal is what you get with my friend Sterling at Champy's Chicken on Highway 119 in Alabaster. We're talking great southern fried chicken, wonderful sides, hand-cut chicken fingers, po' boys, and those Mississippi Delta recipe tamales. You got a perfect menu for everybody. Champy's Chicken is perfect for watching the big game, or taking a meal to the lake house, down to the coast, or stay in the restaurant and dine in a great atmosphere. It's all made fresh to order right there on 119 in Alabaster, Champy's Chicken.
IV therapy, B12 injections, cryotherapy, and compression therapy all under one roof. It's our friends at HydroLive. Mention next round at checkout. Save 20% off any service. HydroLive's got 3 locations, Homewood, Tuscaloosa, and coming soon to Greystone.
The extra hours of sunshine are back on the clock, and that means it's time for golf at Timberline, a short drive from Birmingham or Montgomery. Go to timberlinegc.com to book your tee times, schedule a lesson, or just drop by and use the TrackMan technology on the driving range. The course is always fun, in great shape, and you can even become a member. Get all the details at timberlinegc.com. It's time to get your golf on with our friends at Timberline.
The Next Round Golf Cart is here. Your chance to play 4 area golf courses for just $89. Get 18 holes in cart at Limestone Springs, Cross Creek, The Meadows, and the newly renovated Woodward Golf Club. A $247 value for just $89. Get your golf cart now at nextround.store.
No one does happy hour like Twin Peaks. Whatever your preference, we have everything from tequila cocktails and an extensive bourbon category to top shelf spirits and cocktails served over ice balls. Local craft beers and handcrafted whiskey cocktails round out an adventurous drink menu second to none. And don't forget about our 29-degree man-sized drafts. Are you a fan of Twin Peaks too? Sign up for our e-club to stay up to date on all things Twin Peaks and score free stuff. Come join the fun.
A legendary coach once said, "It's not the will to win that matters, it's the will to prepare to win." Bryant bankers have the dedication and experience to put together a financial game plan that's right for you. Stop by one of the 7 Central Alabama locations today or give them a call at 1-855-4-BRYANT to begin preparing for your financial future today. You'll find out what unbeatable service and legendary results are all about. Bryant Bank, Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC.
As summer starts to fade, get ready to welcome the arrival of fall. But hey, it's not just football season making an entrance. In the world of Pest, it's fall invader season. Hold on tight because we've got 4 major troublemakers stepping into the spotlight. Box elder bugs, kudzu bugs, ladybugs, and stink bugs. These pests don't just knock, they barge in like they own the place. But fear not, dial up Wayne's Pest Control now, 865-588-6686, and let's show those fall invaders who's boss. Don't let pests crash your party. Take charge today.
Much more of the next round rolling on now. Our friends at Hemp Hill bringing you part of the show. Great heating, cooling, and plumbing folks right there. So trustworthy, LT. You've used them 1,000 times.
Yeah, I had a buddy tell me this in bad luck. His top unit went out this year. His bottom unit just went out yesterday. So he called me up and he's like, "Can you hook me up with the guys at Hemp Hill?" I reached out to Andrew, put those guys together. Again, unfortunate things happen. You just never know when they're going to go down. That's why you need the guys at Birmingham has trusted since 1954. Hemp Hill Services, hard to stop a train for all of your plumbing, heating, and cooling needs. Right now, $69 checkup for the month of October. Mention the next round when you call Adam, Chad, Andrew, the guys at Hemp Hill, 205-229-2090 or hemphillservices.com.
CJ Stroud is the game day picker back in Columbus for Penn State and Ohio State. More on that game coming up in a moment. Royal Payne in the Vulcan Tire and Automotive chat room. What does Lance think of UCF with Plumlee getting inside the number if Oklahoma is a little sleepy in this game? UCF has lost 3 straight games, all of them without John Rice Plumlee, who is unbeaten with him, and he's back. I don't know how close to 100%, but he's back this weekend for that game in Norman.
Yeah, I like Central Florida. It's an 11 o'clock game, so I'll stay away from it. I brought this up last night at Bud Light Game Night. Dylan Gabriel, Brown, is 5th in all-time passing yards and touchdowns in Central Florida history.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, this will be a fun game. Dylan Gabriel is very much in the Heisman conversation right now. Oklahoma's very much in the college football playoff conversation, but this is one of those games I really believe there will be 3 or 4 games over the next 5 or 6 weeks where 17 to 21 point favorites lose games, and I would not be blown away. Well, I wouldn't be blown away if Oklahoma wins by 40 or if Central Florida wins the game. That's how crazy this year has been. But, yes, with Plumlee back in that lineup, they can move the football.
It would be the most Gus thing ever to win this game.
It really would be.
And then lose to, I don't even know who they play next, but if it's somebody they have no business losing to, they would lose to them if it's the Gus Malzahn plan.
As we roll on, our storm restoration roofing, a matchup or big story of the day involves Michigan off the field, or is it on the field? It's a confusing story that we touched on yesterday. Before we get to 4 downs, Brown's going to update us on the Michigan scandal now or investigation that's underway, however serious you think this is. Storm Restoration Roofing will prevent any serious problems from happening on your roof with that free no-cost roof inspection. 205-542-3531. 205-542-3531 to talk to Greg from Pell City and schedule that free no-cost, no-obligation roof inspection. You can look him up on Facebook as well. Greg from Pell City, A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, locally owned for over 20 years. That number again, 205-542-3531. It is Storm Restoration Roofing.
So the NCAA is investigating a scouting situation now for Michigan. If you missed the story, it was broken yesterday by our buddy Dan Wessel and then also Ross Dellinger of Yahoo, that reportedly what they're investigating is that Michigan has been sending what we now know to be a former United States Marine that is on their staff to games to try to steal other teams' signs. This is illegal by NCAA rules. Obviously, you can watch all the game film you want. You cannot have representatives at live games of future opponents scouting for this very reason. It is much easier to steal signs before a game this way, right? Stealing signs in a game, not necessarily illegal. No way you could really enforce that. Stealing signs before a game, it is absolutely illegal. Yeah. Everyone has now confirmed that this is an ongoing investigation. And Jim Harbaugh has even released a statement about it, in which Jim Harbaugh says, well, I tell you what, I didn't know this was going on. It's a lot more words than that, but essentially Harbaugh.
I've got it right here. Here's the quote. I do not have the knowledge. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah, we have it up over here, but you're touching on the fact.
This is the biggest problem for Michigan.
Yeah. What does he say?
Well, he goes on to say, I do not have any knowledge or information regarding the University of Michigan football program illegally stealing signs, nor have I directed any staff member or others to participate in an off-campus scouting assignment. Now, he released a statement. If you dig around, and they're looking at computers right now, this is like something that I expect to see out of College Station right now.
Right.
You know, we can set this guy up.
We're trying not to pay Jim Harbaugh's buyout. If he wasn't winning so much, this would look like a setup.
Yeah, absolutely.
The cheeseburger thing and this would look like the boosters are trying to get him out, except they're winning football games.
Yeah, I think they can win a national championship. I think they're the best team in college football right now. I don't know how much power the NCAA's got right now, but if they've got still a semblance of power, if it is found to be that Harbaugh does have knowledge of this is a massive problem.
Well, this feels like, and you said, I don't know if he's dumb enough to have it on his computer. He was dumb enough to lie about a cheeseburger that he bought on a school credit card, knowing that, that is going to come out, right? But it feels to me a little bit like Dunaway. A lot of people said the NCAA got pissed off at the way he thumbed his nose at them in this previous situation. So it feels like now, we got more Jim Harbaugh here.
It could be the tax evasion for Al Capone that gets him to Alcatraz for 11 years. Unnamed individuals gathering information on the signs on upcoming opponents in person, as Brown said there, from a low-level staffer who just happens to have a military background with the United States Marines. When all the future opponents have been informed about this week, Michigan State first told the NCAA and the Big Ten, we're not playing then. And they have come back and they're going to play the game. But at first, they know our signs and stuff. We don't have time to prepare new signs. But they have, with talking with Big Ten officials, went on and decided to play the game.
Well, two things. First, I don't know why you need to steal signs. You hadn't played anybody with a heartbeat yet.
Right.
And you have just whipped the hell out of everybody. And on the other side, don't you believe if he's releasing statements, his representation, and I don't know why I think it's Trace Armstrong, but I'm not sure. But whoever represents him would say, honestly, do you know anything about this?
Yeah.
And if he's like, I really don't, then you put this statement together. But if he does, you don't immediately release a statement. You figure out what your plan of action is.
What is interesting in all of this is now Ross Dellinger is reporting this has been well known among Big Ten coaches. In fact, Ross is reporting that a Big Ten coach confronted the supposed sign stealer at a Michigan game when he was back on the sidelines and said, I know what you're doing, and it's blanked up. And in fact, Greg Schiano going to the locker room this year in the Michigan-Rutgers game, it was a weird interview at the time, and nobody knew what he meant, but he had basically alluded to it in the halftime interview. So, and all this is doing, by the way, is ramping up the speculation that Jim Harbaugh's headed back to the NFL, which is always around Harbaugh a little bit.
Yeah, which would be fitting, as everyone is saying over there, to the Patriots, who have a history of stealing signs. Okay, 2-4 downs we go, which is brought to you by our friends at Slice. But before we do that, if you would, LT, one more time, tell us about the great folks at Hemp Hill.
Yes, Hemp Hill Services right now, that $69 October checkup. They can perform that for you. Just call 229-2090. That's the number that Birmingham has trusted since 1954. Plumbing, heating, cooling. Call Adam, Chad, Andrew, the guys there for more information, hemphillservices.com.
Okay, tell you about Slice after 4 downs. Let's do first down, Rockstar.
First down.
Okay, so more touchdowns this season. Julio Jones or Ja'Cory Brooks? By the way, I cannot believe we are in a time where Ja'Cory Brooks made that incredible catch a couple of years ago in the Iron Bowl, and he has 0 touchdowns.
Has disappeared. I mean, is he even on the field anymore?
Not much.
Every now and then you see him.
I think he had a grab last week, one grab.
I mean, it's crazy how little you see him.
Well, that's it. I mean, I mentioned this last week. If you play daily fantasy like we do, if you're using an Alabama receiver, you don't know who it's going to be. One week it could be Isaiah Bond. One week it's the freshman Hill. Yeah, last week it was Kobe Prentice.
If you had Burton against Texas A&M, you cleaned up. But
that's right.
You never know, right?
That's right. But if you use Burton this past week, not a whole lot.
Not a whole lot.
I think that's the problem. They have 62 parts that all look the same.
Yes,
I would agree.
I'm almost willing to say Julio Jones in this.
Yeah. I mean, what would it take? 2 touchdowns?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. But Jacory, if he scored 2 this weekend, would you be shocked?
No, it could be his. Could be his turn on the roulette wheel.
I do feel like Julio is going to be involved at least for a couple of months in this Eagles offense. I think he's going to be the 3rd or 4th option. So I'm going to lean Julio here, but don't feel good about it.
I see Julio in the playoffs being a big factor. When they're in the playoffs, you get that one-on-one matchup because everyone else is doubled, and boom, can't cover Goddard and AJ but there's Julio Jones, just healthy enough to play in 3 or 4 games. Yeah, maybe the fade. Yeah.
Second down.
Which 17-plus point road dog has a better chance of pulling the outright upset? Central Florida over Oklahoma or Washington State at Oregon?
I'm going to say Washington State against Oregon, though I don't think either happens, because I've seen Washington State good. They beat an okay Wisconsin team, and they were clicking at one point. Cam Ward, they haven't gotten to 250 yards in back-to-back week offensively. It's fallen off there, but there is a chance that the air came out of Oregon's balloon. I expect him to pick up the pieces after that heartbreaking loss to Washington and lay it down. I just don't trust UCF against Oklahoma in that defense. And I don't know if Rice Plumlee's 100%. So I'd say Washington State and Oregon, but I don't think either happen.
I won't be blown away if both happen.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I would say neither happened, but I'm going to go with the Gus Malzahn factor, winning a game he's absolutely not supposed to win. And the next week, they have homecoming against West Virginia. They lose that game by 3 touchdowns. That's the full Gus Bus experience right there.
Third down.
On Wednesday, Zac Efron was 36 years old. Better career, ultimately, Zach Wilson or Zac Efron?
When it's all over with?
Yeah.
Oh, Zac Efron already. I mean, Zach Wilson will have to do a lot to catch Zac Efron.
I don't know. I mean, Efron's done, High School Musical? He did Neighbors.
That was a pretty good franchise, Neighbors.
Pitch Perfect? He was in Pitch Perfect, right?
No, I don't think he was.
Was he not?
No, that was the guy from Modern Family.
He's in that new wrestling movie where he's a little cut.
Oh, interesting.
What's the wrestling movie?
I don't know. What's it called? The Iron Claw.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This might be his critical breakout.
Yeah.
I like Zac Efron, and they just don't put him in anything that's got any substance.
Was he in...
They don't.
Must mean he's not a great actor.
Yeah. So does that mean he was in Flying with the Midnight Moon? Or what's the movie that we were talking about?
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Flying in the Midnight Moon is a different show.
All right. Let's do
Fourth down.
Oh, big one here. So Snoop Dogg, happy birthday, Snoop. 52 years old today. Tom Petty would have been 73. Tom Petty, Snoop Dogg.
Oh, I'll take Tom Petty.
Tom
Now,
Petty.
that's going to be, I like Tom
how
Petty more.
Rocky laughs.
Yeah. Well, Tom Petty.
Going to take Snoop Dogg.
No, but I mean, it's very close. Like, I thought Tom Petty was okay. Snoop Dogg, more iconic.
Oh, I was about to say, more people know who Snoop Dogg is, no matter your race, than know who Tom Petty is.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah, I probably agree
you
with that.
You guys are going to die. Who do you think's got more Grammy nominations?
Well, if you say I'm going to die, I'm going to say Snoop Dogg.
Because he's featured on like 80,000 songs.
Yeah, and I would imagine it's not even close.
No, it's actually Tom Petty, 18 to 17.
He's the better musician.
I'm surprised too.
Yeah. Snoop is a mogul. That's right.
Yeah, way bigger.
Yeah.
That guy, 7399, is dead on.
I think the more tougher question, and that's a tough question, would have been who smoked more pot.
Well, the problem is Snoop just stays with the chronic. Tom wanted to get a little out there with the fentanyl.
Yeah, I think both of them gave a run at that. I'm probably going to go
Price.
Snoop.
Snoop is on commercials and currently not dead.
Yeah. Well, that is true. Cannot argue that one.
So he is still collecting receipts. And Tom
I would say
has
net
cashed
worth. Snoop's probably worth twice as much, but it's probably not crazy. I mean, Tom Petty just did it for decades and decades and decades.
Yeah, that's our 4 downs today, brought to you by the great folks at Slice Pizza. How about a nice slice of pizza for lunch today and a good salad?
A little slice of Hot Mama and one of those Redmont salads. They have fantastic food. Go see the Bajalia brothers. Jeff Bajalia created this incredible brand years ago. His brothers continue his legacy. Get out, see Chris, Jason, the guys. Tell them the next round sent you. For more information, slicebirmingham.com.
All right, coming up on the other side, we'll get to Todd Ferman. He'll talk to us about all the big games going on in the country, including that big one right there with Penn State. And if you're trying to find the right way to handle your energy bill, to know how much you're using, or maybe when the power is out to get when the power is going to be restored. It's all right there with the Alabama Power app. You can manage your account, make payments and everything. It's right there in the palm of your hand. Just download the mobile app by searching Alabama Power in your app store or visit alabamapower.com/mobile app, alabamapower.com/mobile app.
Everything Alabama, all the time. Subscribe and set alerts at Roll Tide Pods on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
You could win a Dodge Challenger RT or your share of $25,000 in free play and cash at Birmingham Racecourse Casino. The more you visit, the more chances you have to win. Play the latest, most exciting games around with fun bonuses and big jackpots. You could be a winner too. Come win your share during the Challenger RT and $25,000 giveaway at Birmingham Racecourse Casino. Drawings October 27th and 28th. Located off I-459, exit 31, Derby Parkway. Must be 21 or older. Must be present to win.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the Next Round to tell you about one of our favorite places for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is Hamburger Heaven since 1982. Hamburger Heaven has been serving Birmingham's best hamburgers, cheeseburgers, French fries, hand-spun milkshakes, and sandwiches made fresh to order. All of their ingredients are fresh and prepared daily. This includes their beef, always fresh, never frozen, hand-pattied each and every day. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, visit any of the 4 locations, Highway 280, Irondale, Gardendale, and Homewood. Football season is here, and Legacy Credit Card is just what you need to manage your spending safely and wisely. Credit cards offer better consumer protection against fraud when compared to a debit card, which is linked directly to your bank account. Legacy offers rates as low as 8.9% APR on credit cards compared to major card providers who advertise rates as high as 29% APR. Look no further than Legacy. Open a credit card online in minutes at legacycreditunion.com/join. APR's annual percentage rate, rates, and offers subject to change. See website for details. Federally insured by NCUA.
The wait is over. Tonali has arrived. Beautifully distinctive Italian styling and performance. Come test drive the all-new 2024 Alfa Romeo Tonali plug-in hybrid at Alfa Romeo of Birmingham. The all-new Tonali offers best-in-class horsepower and torque, fastest 0 to 60 times in its class, plus best-in-class range with full electric charge. And best of all, qualified Tonali leasees are eligible for up to $7,500 EV tax credit factored into your lease. Hurry down to Alfa Romeo of Birmingham and experience the all-new Tonali.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the Next Round. You've heard me for years talk about our friends at Bromberg's Jewelers, and we welcome you to stop by and see that great customer service at the Mountain Brook and Summit locations. But we'd also love for you to check out their new online shop. They've got plenty to choose from. Great gifts, big and small. Available online, they've got David Yurman, Tudor watches, select diamond and gemstone jewelry, William Henry, seasonal and favorite giftware items, and baby gifts as well. They've even got an online sale section. For more information, brombergs.com.
The Double Down Media podcast family is live and full of content for all ages. The Mystery Fifth Hour gives the Next Round hosts a chance to talk about everything but sports. Pour a glass of Bama and bourbon, our weekly college football conversation, while sipping some of the most interesting pours in the bourbon world. And our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call, presented by Redmont Vodka. LT has in-depth conversations with personalities like Clay Travis and Taylor Hicks. Find those podcasts and more by searching The Next Round on Apple and Spotify. And remember to like and subscribe.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, and Rockstar. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, The Next Round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
We're going right to Todd Ferman right after LT tells us about the great folks at Bromberg's. Holiday season coming up. They got everything for you.
Yeah, they do. Family owned and operated since 1836. They are your diamond specialists. Think about popping the question this holiday season. You got to go see the diamond experts. Nothing like giving or getting that silver box from our friends at Bromberg's. 2 great locations, Mountain Brook and the Summit. You can shop online today. Go to brombergs.com.
Todd Ferman with us, betthemoorepodcast.com, and at Todd Ferman on Twitter. He's on the Johnston RV Center. Hotline. What is up, Ferman? How are you today?
I'm doing well this Friday morning, gentlemen. Hopefully you boys are as well.
Doing fantastic. Alabama is an 8.5-point favorite over the Tennessee Volunteers with a total of 47.5. That total last year would have been done at halftime, by the way. Alabama 8.5. What have you seen on line movement of this game? It seems like it's been right around there. What's your feel on Alabama, Tennessee?
You mentioned that total and how much different this year is going to be compared to last year, where both these teams come into this contest ranked outside the top 30 in college football in terms of offensive yards per play. But you look at how stout they've been on the defensive side, both inside the top 7, and clearly you realize that yards could be hard to come by, let alone points in some of the big plays. When you look at the number in the game, I don't get to Alabama being an 8.5-point favorite. I'm closer to the touchdown threshold. But at the same time, I haven't run to the window to try and bet Tennessee in this spot because I have some legitimate concerns about Joe Milton and Tennessee's ability to actually go out there and provide some balance. I mean, you look at this Volunteers offense, they have 4 games this year where they've churned out 230-plus rushing yards, one of 2 Power 5 teams with as many such games alongside UCF. But that's because they can't throw the football. There aren't receivers that scare you the same way that Tennessee had a boatload of them last year. And when we look at this Alabama defense that's coming into its own, they can generate pressure, they can sell out to stop the run, and I think you put all the pressure on Joe Milton. The problem being on the other side, do you trust Jalen Milroe if Tennessee is as dynamic stomping the run as they've been? Now, there is the data point against Florida where the Vols were gashed and the Gators hit some explosives early in that game, and they were able to play downhill. I think there's a much better path for Alabama to win this game by margin than there is for Tennessee to win the contest outright. But I think the total makes a lot of sense trying to go under. The big concern you have is if Tennessee can't stop the run, Alabama is going to have their full playbook at their disposal.
The marquee matchup tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific Coast out in Vegas. Penn State heading into Columbus to take on Ohio State. These 11 o'clock Central games scare me to death, Ferman. I typically stay away, but I don't know if I can stay away from this one. I see this thing playing out. Ryan Day really good in top 10 matchups. James Franklin not good in top 10 matchups. And I can go on and see the stat on the first possession. Drew Aller, 241 career passes, 0 interceptions. We get a pick 6 to the house, getting that crowd into it early. Laying 5.5. I like Ohio State. Where are you on this one?
This game has been a real battle in the betting market. When you look at where the number opened with Ohio State a 4.5-point favorite, you initially saw support for the underdog that drove it down to 3.5, and that's when some professional bettors thought that was way too big an adjustment. So now you're looking at the price back at 4.5, a couple of books upwards of 5.5 in this contest. And Lance, you mentioned Drew Aller, and I think that's the $100 million question because you figure Penn State, when you're playing an inferior schedule of opponents early in the year, ones that they've dominated from an ATS perspective, that you'd want to open the playbook a little bit, allow a young quarterback to get comfortable throwing the deep ball and work on some of those elements that are going to be imperative if Penn State's to upset Ohio State in this spot or beat Michigan in a few weeks when the Wolverines come to Happy Valley. But this is a Penn State offense right now that's outside the top 100 in the country in terms of big play offense. That's a problem because you can't consistently sustain drives against a defense as talented as Ohio State. Now, on the other side, Penn State has done everything and then some on the defensive side. I mean, you look at what this group is doing. Number 1 in the country in yards per play allowed at a shade more than 3. That, of course, comes with the caveat when you play Northwestern, West Virginia, and the list goes on, in Illinois, et cetera, to try and be able to do that. But we thought that Penn State's defense was the strength of this football team. They've done nothing to disappoint against inferior competition. And when we look at Ohio State, they haven't been able to run the football behind a banged-up backfield. So I would definitely lean towards the Buckeyes, but I'm fully on board with this game. Getting bet under the total would be much more inclined to look at the first half, however, though. For those pick 6 reasons that you mentioned, I think both of these coaches will be stubborn enough to continue to run the football until they know they can't, and a punt may not necessarily be a bad thing instead of letting a quarterback throw in known passing situations.
Just for your purposes, I like Penn State in this game.
LT, that tells you all you need to know. You got to double down on the scarlet and gray.
You got it.
Michigan State, East Lansing. East Lansing has been a house of horror for ranked teams sometimes, but dare I say at minus 24, all signs point to an easy Michigan win here. What do you think of this one?
I mean, this is a Michigan State team that really doesn't have much in the way of offensive playmakers. You look at how they performed last week, were able to build a healthy 24-6 lead against Rutgers before they completely crumbled. I don't think that game has any carryover effect here in terms of a hangover for a Michigan State team that's just going to do everything they can to try and exact a measure of revenge. But you look at the last 3 meetings, Michigan State has been in this spot a couple of years ago, back in October of 2020. 21.5-point underdogs. They beat the Wolverines 27-24. I don't think history is going to repeat itself. If anything, it reminds me a lot more of last year's game where Michigan's defense completely suffocated the Spartans and what they wanted to do on the offensive side. You watch Hauser, doesn't have the arm strength to really go out there and stretch an opposing defense. And I have some real concerns about Harlan Barnett's ability to adjust on the fly. all of this nonsense swirling about Michigan sign stealing, I think Michigan State right in the crosshairs for their in-state rival. Definitely a favorite or pass type scenario in East Lansing.
Todd Ferman with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline, BetTheBoardPodcast.com for all the games, BetTheBoardPodcast.com. We talk about some select games here. He goes much more in-depth at BetTheBoardPodcast.com. Also follow him on Twitter at Todd Ferman. Ole Miss is at Jordan-Hare Stadium, and you don't see the Rebels visit Jordan-Hare very often, giving 6.5 points, but here we are Saturday night. What do you see in Auburn and Ole Miss?
For me, these are the kind of buy low spots that I'll typically gravitate towards in terms of making a case for a home underdog, because nothing points in the direction of what we've seen from this Auburn team offensively, other than the fact that they finally showed a semblance of a passing game, albeit in a lopsided loss against the LSU Tigers last week. You look at the way this series has gone, and it has been absolutely dominated at the betting window by Auburn, covering 3 out of the last 4 games, 4 out of the last 5, and Auburn has really had Ole Miss's number. These are the kind of spots with Ole Miss that we've grown accustomed to, where all signs, theoretically, from a statistics standpoint, point to them going out there and get a dominating win, where they lay an egg. I haven't gotten there on the underdog yet. I can tell you the under is an extremely sharp position from some of the bigger betting groups that are out there, and you can understand why, knowing Hugh Freeze doesn't have the athletes to kind of crank up the tempo. And what's been interesting watching his press conferences this year is that he's been pretty honest on Monday, knowing what his team is going to go up against. This week there was a little bit more optimism, talked about change, leaning towards Auburn here to get a big win, but I do think points could be at a premium compared to what the betting market suggests.
Yeah, I think one of the strange numbers, when you look at the Big Ten West, it's terrible, but Iowa won that game last week, and we started to look at the schedule, and you're like, damn, Iowa could end up 11-1. But now they take on Minnesota, who is another disgusting team to watch. And the Golden Gophers coming to this game, they were a 6-point underdog. Now it's down to 3.5 in Iowa City. That number is extremely strange to me, Ferman.
You know, this is a game where I do have a position. I took the underdog early on with Minnesota, plus 4.5. Thought that was a big number for a total that's inching towards FBS history in that 30.5 range. You mentioned it. You look at this Iowa team, and while they did have the upset win last week as nearly a double-digit dog against Wisconsin, it was the second straight week that an Iowa quarterback in Deacon Hill completed a grand total of 6 passes. Now, I know Iowa's not exactly known to be a dynamic offense in the first place, but they lose yet another weapon. Eric All, the only player on the team that had more than 11 catches so far this season. Minnesota, a little bit more well-rested. The potential, they get the season debut of a talented linebacker in Cody Lindenberg here. I think if you're handicapping this game, you're trying to assess the prospects of Darius Taylor, the team's starting running back, being out there as well. And look, you can't sugarcoat what Iowa's been able to do to Minnesota. They have absolutely dominated the Floyd of Rosedale rivalry. Minnesota hasn't won in Kinnick Stadium since 1999. But this is a Hawkeyes team that, for me, just doesn't have enough offense to run away and hide. It's their 8th game in 8 weeks. Minnesota, I think, will have a few wrinkles. And while as scary and gross as it is, knowing that the Gophers may not score more than 10 points, I still had to back them here at a price of more than a field goal.
So, Ferman, we've been told we're close to record territory on this total. Where does this stand historically based on your numbers in Vegas with a total of 31 in this game?
If it closes below 31, it would be an FBS record going back from some of the data that we have. So if you want to root for ugly football, if you hope Mother Nature decides to dump a little rain and snow there is a chance that we can get to history here. It depends what you'll use for a closing line. There are plenty of 30.5s and 31s out there in the market. This is the Big Ten West in all of its glory, and it'll be a real travesty when this conference, or at least this division, I should say, goes completely by the wayside.
Yeah, 2:30 on NBC. There hasn't been something that drowsy on the Peacock since the Cosby Show left back in the 80s.
Oh, wow.
Clemson -3 at Miami in that contest down there. Listen, 17-12 doesn't lie when they beat Wake Forest in a bye week. Well, this is my play of the weekend. Miami plus the points at home against Clemson. Where am I wrong here?
You know, it is a buy low opportunity in the Hurricanes offense, who is a little bit more dynamic on that side of the ball than what Clemson will bring to the table. You wonder if the bye week can be the cure-all for Cade Klubnik and Garrett Riley getting on the same page. But for anybody who's watched this Clemson team, they obviously lack a lot of that big play potential. And this receiving core doesn't wow you in space. They don't go out there and have any home run hitters. And that's a real concern for a Clemson offense right now that's 86th in the country in yards per play. But where Clemson is better is on the defensive side. And I think when you look at Tyler Van Dyke, he's struggled against ACC opponents. 5 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Some of the gaudy metrics we saw early in the year are starting to decline a little bit. And this Miami defense did struggle against the run. They had a slew of missed tackles. They didn't have a success rate that was anything to write home about. But I think Clemson's defense matches up well with Miami's offense. Clemson's offense just doesn't have the firepower, and I think this is a game where you could see both offenses struggle. It feels like a 24-20 type football game. No idea who comes out on top, but I would lean under the total.
I told you on Sunday I had my early NFL game of the year with the Seahawks going West Coast to East Coast. It was one of the more frustrating losses I've ever had. 4 first and goals in the second half and got 3 points out of that, lose by a half a point. I think I found another noon game this week, though. Everybody's hyping up Detroit. They roll into Baltimore. Baltimore's still a really solid team that is trying to find their offensive identity. Ravens -3. What do you think in this spot?
I'm on the same side as you here. Bet the Ravens at -2.5, laid $1.20 to do so. This is a Baltimore team that if you watch the game last week against the Titans, should have won that game by 3 touchdowns plus. But they get into the red zone 6 times. They go 1 for 6 in terms of scoring touchdowns, and it kept that scoreboard cosmetic a lot closer than what it should have been. Detroit, of course, goes into this game without David Montgomery, and while NFL running backs aren't worth a ton of the point spread, for me, it does change quite a bit about what Detroit is able to do using their hammer in terms of showing balance. Jahmyr Gibbs, should he return from injury, probably not ready for a full workload, and he doesn't provide that same kind of physicality running between the tackles. Should be a little bit of weather in the forecast. We know these are the kind of situations where Jared Goff has historically struggled. And I do think this is a Lions team. When you look at the teams that they have played so far this year, this will be a step up in class, maybe as much since they played Kansas City week 1. But we know the Chiefs went into battle without Travis Kelce. Their offense wasn't humming. Let's see if the Ravens can turn drives into 7s this week. I am fully on board here, back in the Ravens, minus that short number.
All right, he is Todd Ferman, bettheboardpodcast.com for all the games. Bettheboardpodcast.com, at Todd Ferman on Twitter. Ferman, thank you very much for the time. Always fun.
Always a pleasure, gentlemen. Best of luck with all your picks this weekend.
All right, buddy. You too. Ferman with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. That group, Johnston RV, the people there, the Johnston family, just returned from the Fall River Expo. That's where the RV dealers, like the big ones, the ones that are important, they go and they're like, boy, we like this floor plan, not crazy about this. We don't know if our customers like this one. We know they'll love that one. So the ones they pick out, those start getting delivered to Johnston RV Center, but they got to make room for them there, right? Well, they're doing that right now with the Call of Fall campaign. Great savings on many different lines that can get you out there camping this fall. They got some fifth wheels with discounted prices, more than $50,000. More than $50,000 discounted on fifth wheels. Travel trailers starting at $179 a month with approved credit. They believe, like we do on this show, that the United States military has made this the greatest nation in the universe, no questions asked. Just a small token of thanks to the United States military, whether retired or active duty. They give you a discount there just to say thank you at Johnston RV Center. I-65, exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur, and always online, johnstonrvcenter.com.
Before I tell you about the Pants store, game day location there, Riley Leonard is optimistic he can play for Duke against Florida State. Duke's only lost still Notre Dame, so that's a huge ACC game. Both teams undefeated in the conference.
You know, this number keeps going between 13.5 and 14.5. It's a large number. It's got me a little skeptical on Duke. I don't think Mike Elko would let Riley Leonard go if he wasn't 100% because he relies so much on his legs. If Riley Leonard plays in this game, I think this game goes one of two ways. And I've said this before and people don't understand this, but I think either Florida State wins a game going away, or if Riley Leonard plays, Duke wins a game.
How effective can he be? We'll see. You know, he is a guy that does it with his legs too. So if he's not 100% or close enough to it to where he can factor in the running, I don't know if he can be as effective.
And it's easy to forget this because of Notre Dame's association with the ACC, but Duke is still undefeated in that conference. I mean, this is a massive game for them in terms of potentially making it to Charlotte and playing for that conference championship.
Well, his backup, though, Jordan Waters, is another really mobile quarterback. He's scored a rushing touchdown in 6 consecutive games that he's played in. So, you know, there's definitely a drop-off, especially with experience, but Duke will come to play.
Our friends at the Pants Store, your game day headquarters, Alabama and Auburn game day polos, hats, and quarter zips. They choose from famous name brands like Gentile, Cutter and Buck, Antigua, Elephant Head, and Taylor and Mick, all right there. And ladies, look no further than for your game day needs than our friends right there at the Pants Store. They've got skirts, rompers, clear bags, and booties as well. Find any of your game day needs anywhere in the country. Pantsstore.com, pantsstore.com, or 6 locations in Auburn, Crestline, Hoover, Huntsville, Leeds, and Tuscaloosa. Pantsstore.com. All right, baseball yesterday. We'll do our headlines, Monday headlines, in the next segment. We got those lined up, ready to go. Craig Kimbrell, throughout the year, was a little erratic. Wasn't always great. Has been great in the postseason.
Sweet ponytail, though.
Bad Craig Kimbrell came back yesterday. Walked the leadoff hitter, got the rally going. Arizona comes back, beats Philadelphia. Phillies still lead at 2-1. Game 4 tonight, 7 o'clock TBS in that one. And then the other one, Houston and Texas. Fascinated by this one because it's now tied 2-2 because the Astros losing 2 at home, now 1-2 at Globe Life Park, where they're 8-1 this year at Globe Life Park.
And averaging over 9 runs per game en route to scoring 10 yesterday. I heard Jessica Mendoza from ESPN this morning saying, I think the Astros are going to get another one, and then Texas is going to win both their road games. And
That's wild.
It's going to go 7.
Well,
I agree with what Buster said. With the Astros winning yesterday and the way they won that, I think that's going to snuff out the Rangers.
One of the strangest series, it involved Houston. Modern, if you'll remember, the Nationals, when they won the World Series, neither team won a road game. Wow. Neither team won a home game. The road team won every single game en route to the Nationals winning the World Series.
And there's nothing worse than a fan base tapping out. But did you guys see that Arizona's down 0-2? And you've still got possibly 3 home games in the NLCS. Tickets were going for $15 get-ins yesterday.
For an NLCS game.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's not like they're in the playoffs every year, right?
Right.
It's been a while.
Yeah, I mean, they lost 110 games 2 years ago. At least show support for your team. And by the way, you won. Now this is a series.
Yeah, I would think it's a really good golfing time to be out in Phoenix.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Other things to do out there right now. All right, as we head to break here, LT's about to tell us about Dr. B. Excuse me. Yeah, Dr. B. Tell us about Dr. B here in a second. I wanted to point out that Hoover got good news from the SEC baseball coaches. They voted to, despite more money being offered, according to reports, by Dallas, who wanted the SEC tournament, possibly to play it at Globe Life in a dome. That was their big selling point. The rain and weather puts everything behind schedule. Let's play it in a controlled environment. Despite all that, the SEC coaches voted to continue a 25-year tradition, and for the time being, they're keeping the SEC baseball tournament in Hoover, which is a big win for Hoover. I don't know how long they can hold it, especially if Dallas is offering money and wanting to put it in a dome stadium.
Well, a couple things real quick. One thing Hoover did that has made this possible is updating that RV park they've got out there and making it top of the line. And that is huge for the fans. I mean, a ton of fans love to bring their RVs in there, and the coaches know that. But I think the other thing that might be at play there, Dunaway, is with that thing starting on Tuesday now, a lot of coaches like to go to their weekend series and come straight to Hoover. They don't go back to their campus sometimes. And if that's Dallas now, if I'm South Carolina and I got a home series, or if I'm Missouri and I'm at South Carolina, now I got to go all the way back out to Dallas. Hoover is at least still fairly centrally located in the Southeastern Conference, and it makes that idea a little bit easier for these coaches.
Especially to the baseball playing schools in Mississippi. It's a lot longer, both the Mississippis, when they're in the tournament, all the way to Dallas. Louisiana, a little further to Dallas, maybe about the same for Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
Texas and Oklahoma coming into the league, obviously. We'll see. Well supported there. Also a bigger stadium. Takes a lot more fans to fill up a bigger stadium.
Yeah.
Takes fewer fans to fill up a small stadium.
That would feel cavernous at Globe Life.
All right. When we come back to football, our Monday headlines. Tell us about Dr. B, LT, as we head to break.
Yeah, hey, look, if you know someone in your life that's starting to thin out up top, be preemptive. Dr. Beckenstein is the guy that I went to see. My hair has more than doubled in thickness since I went to see him. I did the non-invasive treatment on the couch last night, 30 minutes. I do it 3 times a week. That's all I do. Dr. B pioneered the use of NeoGraft hair restoration in Alabama, remains at the forefront of hair preservation of the Southeast. He takes pride in treating each patient personally, applying his expertise to produce those quality results. For more than 20 years, women and men have turned to Dr. B for a range of cosmetic and reconstructive procedures. He will use that experience, his advanced training and genetic testing to help his patients fully understand the procedures they are considering. Call Dr. Beckenstein today, 205-319-0316. That's 205-319-0316 or t3hair.net.
Everything Next Round is on demand now in the podcast section at nextroundlive.com.
No one does happy hour like Twin Peaks. Whatever your preference, we have everything from tequila cocktails and an extensive bourbon category to local craft beers and handcrafted whiskey cocktails. And don't forget about that 29-degree man-sized drafts. It's Twin Peaks at the Patton Creek Shopping Centers.
The Next Round Golf Court is here. Your chance to play 4 area golf courses for just $89. Get 18 holes of golf and cart at Limestone Springs, Cross Creek, The Meadows, and the newly renovated Woodward Golf Club. That's a value of $247 for just $89. Or get the Next Round Deluxe Golf Cart for just $119. It gets you all 4 courses with cart, plus an exclusive Next Round Golf t-shirt, koozie, golf tees, and a sticker. There are no restrictions. The cart is good through September 2024. Get your golf cart now at nextround.store.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop, rare quality, well-done service.
DryTech Water Restoration is a locally owned company that specializes in mold remediation, fire and water damage cleanup, and SteraMist services. DryTech's goal is to provide clients with expert guidance when dealing with any home disaster. DryTech's highly trained specialists are available 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. They will work closely with you and your insurance company to make sure the process is stress-free as possible. Call DryTech today, 205-637-0143. The moment you discover damage to your home, DryTech's team will handle the rest.
Going to a big football game? Walking around all day? Then you'll want comfortable shoes. This is Wes McClooney, owner of the New Balance Birmingham store. Score a touchdown with a new pair of ultra-comfortable running or walking shoes. Come to the New Balance Birmingham store. I'm telling you, we'll make sure you have a perfect fit and we'll treat you like the starting QB. Our job is to make sure your feet are happy. Visit the New Balance Birmingham store on Highway 280 next to Chick-fil-A. Your feet will thank you.
Want more of The Next Round? Download the app or visit nextroundlive.com for the latest podcast, The Mystery Fifth Hour, our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call, and the entire Double Down Media podcast family. All at nextroundlive.com and on the Next Round app. Do you need extra cash handy? Look no further than Legacy Credit Union for whatever loan your lifestyle requires. It only takes a few minutes to apply and request the amount you need to give you peace of mind. With affordable low rates and manageable payback plans, a Legacy Lifestyle loan is crafted just for you. Apply online today at legacycreditunion.com/join. Lifestyle loans from Legacy. Terms and conditions may apply. Legacy is federally insured by the NCUA.
Battle for the Bones down at Protective Stadium happening this weekend as UAB plays host to Memphis, 11 a.m. on ESPN2. Remember, you can get your picture taken with the Battle of the Bones trophy. There's a rib cook-off competition going on, all that. And Trent Dilfer, rock star, is really excited about this contest down there. And he also excited about your finances with our friends at Legacy. Hit it.
Just as a strong offensive line provides protection, an emergency fund shields you from unexpected financial setbacks.
That's right, Coach. Emergency funds are a great way to protect yourself from anything life throws at you. Legacy's incentive savings account is an easy way to build up that emergency fund. With daily roundup savings at 5% APY on balances up to $1,000, you can save money easily for those unexpected expenses. Check out incentive savings and all the additional products and services Legacy offers at legacycreditunion.com or visit one of their 9 Greater Birmingham branches. Legacy, the official credit union of UAB. APY is the annual percentage yield, federally insured by the NCUA. UAB got a chance to win that game. That's a skinny number, relatively speaking, with Memphis.
I think they do. You look at Memphis, though, their ability to run the football with Watson, their 2 losses, 7-point loss to Missouri, 10-point loss to Tulane. I mean, on paper, Memphis definitely looks like the better team. You wonder where UAB is. They looked so good a couple of weeks ago against South Florida, and then at times they look so bad against a Texas San Antonio team that I had a huge expectation for before the season. Now that Frank Harris is healthy, I think this team rolls a little bit.
Teams have struggled in that conference to throw the ball well on Memphis. Memphis has been pretty good against the pass. That's where UAB gets all their offenses through the air. Now, they have run it better the last few games.
Yeah, Brown had a great game last game, and healthier is what Trent told us yesterday.
Yeah, but Jacob Zeno has played some of the best quarterback in the country. Now, last week did not go well for him at Texas San Antonio. It was just kind of an ugly game. But I don't know. I do think that is a very interesting game. And there's the rivalry. Didn't you tell me 2012 was the last time?
2012 and a 10-5 advantage for UAB in that rivalry game.
I'm glad to see it back.
Headlines in just a second. Surprising stat that I got as I was preparing all these notes for the show today. Sam Pittman is only 10-20 in the SEC.
Yeah.
That's 1-3. He only wins 1-3 SEC
I get it.
games.
I don't know what your expectation for Arkansas is.
You can't just give up, though.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is the perception is it has been better than that. You know what I mean?
Well,
like
it has been better than that
until
this year. I mean, they've lost 4 one-possession games this year.
So he's what, 10-20?
10-20.
You know, Bielema was 11-29 when he got fired. So I don't think Pittman's going to get there. I mean, he's going to have to go 1-9 over his next 10.
And to his point, because of how bad Arkansas football's been, the perception is it has been better. And he's had some big out-of-conference wins. That win over Texas was huge. But 10-20. And I don't think he's beaten A&M. Since he's been
there. Yeah, they've owned that. Do you have his overall? I'm looking it up right now if you don't.
I don't know.
His overall is 21-22. I mean, he's below 500. Bielema's overall was better than that. And Bielema got fired. And I know they like Pittman up there, but I do think he's going to start getting some heat. And
oh, yeah, he will.
I mean,
he's already getting it.
Yeah, 7-6, 3-5 last year, 2-5, 0-4. The thing that jumped out at me about him, and he got bailed out on this, he waved the surrender flag against Alabama. Absolutely waved the surrender flag against Alabama and got a face mask call. And it changed, for some reason, everything in that game. I still have yet to figure out why that face mask was the turning point in the game, but it absolutely was. But he was running the ball on 3rd down and 8 to punt it back to Alabama, who was up 24-6.
Well, here's the thing. If they don't win this weekend, and they've yet to win a game in conference, but so is Mississippi State, then you wonder if they kind of mail it in. I mean, this is the first time in Sam Pittman's tenure they've lost 5 consecutive games.
Before we do our spotlight, here's another Maestro Dobel Diamante fact that surprises me a little bit. By the way, Maestro Dobel Diamante, the best tequila made with 100% pure agave, exceptional tequila. It's crystal clear, so good. All you have to do is pour it over ice and throw a lime in it. Or you can shoot it. Or you can use it in your margaritas, whatever you want. Maestro Dobel Diamante tequila, completely clear, and it's awesome. Aged in European barrels. Ask for it by name, Maestro Dobel Diamante tequila. ESPN, does it make a profit or does it not make a profit?
ESPN?
Yeah.
I would say no profit.
I would say ESPN turns a profit.
According to this newsletter that I got, it's the Hustle, one of the newsletters. ESPN. One executive was asked of Disney, will Disney own ESPN in 5 years? They said no. But according to this story, a $2.7 billion profit in 2021 and 2022.
The only reason I bring this up, well, you asked the question.
That's a lot of money, isn't it?
That's a lot of money. So how in the hell do you continue to lay people off nonstop?
Yeah.
Well, that's Disney, though. You know it as well as I do, Lance, and we mentioned this with TJ Miller. You saw it in our old industry, in the old radio industry, that people from the successful stations often got laid off because the non-successful stations were underperforming and they didn't have anybody they could lay off, and it was a big numbers game.
We came from a company that was losing money every year.
Parks and Cruises from Secession is sucking the money out of Disney.
I would imagine.
I just think because it is to me, the optics look so bad because you lay so many people off from such a big brand, and then you hear something like that.
Yep, I agree with you 100%. But you saw it happen, though. And I know what you're saying is Cumulus was operating at a deficit and was bleeding money.
Yeah, I mean, I think they were in the red the entire time we were there.
Probably so. I think most people in that industry are in the red.
But they spend a lot of money, too. They've spent $1.5 billion through the fiscal year so far, 9 months of the fiscal year. So they spend a lot of money, too.
Make a lot. Spend a lot, make a lot,
Spend a
right?
lot, make a lot. Let's go now. Let's get to the old headlines today. Brought to you by our friends at A+. Hit it, Rockstar.
The College Football Spotlight.
Like the game's already been played. Monday's headlines today.
They are presented by A+ Style Home Remodeling. That is my guy, Brad Bell. I put another guy on Brad Bell last night. He's going to call him about his bathroom and his master bath remodel, and maybe even about his kitchen, too. And I have put so many people on Brad. I appreciate you guys supporting him, and he's doing great work for you. My wife and I, Scott is showing you photos of our old bathroom. We just did not like the way it looked. We wanted it darker and updated, and Brad came in after my wife scoured the internet to find him and did great work. Much darker, much more updated. Exactly what we wanted, to a T. His crews were timely. They worked hard. They were clean. They got the job done right, got it done right the first time. We did not have to have them back to fix anything at all. Tremendous work from Brad Bell, A+ Style Home Remodeling. In fact, as Scott was showing these photos right away, Lance was like, man, I'd kind of like him to have my bathroom redone. Lance's bathroom, just the opposite of mine, a little bit darker. He wanted a little bit lighter. That just shows you Brad's not some cookie cutter guy that's only going to do it one way. He's going to do it the way you want it done. Here is the number for Brad Bell, 205-422-1758. That is 205-422-1758. Brad Bell, A+ Style Home Remodeling. If you miss anything about what I said right here, I will gladly put you in touch with Brad Bell. Just reach out to me. Brad Bell, A+ Style Home Remodeling, 205-422-1758.
All right. What we do here, we try to come up with how we think the game's going to play out through our headlines. Lance is highlighted, so we start with Lance over there. What do you have for us today, Lance?
What do we got here? Colonel Reb is crying. Ultimate Hunter proves to not be Joey Freshwater as Jarquez leads the Tigers to big upset. I asked Forrester if we could play this. He said we get dinged, so we did. And I haven't heard the song in a long time until this morning. Yeah, it's still a classic.
How does it go, Rockstar? Can you remember?
Colonel Reb is crying.
Confederate handkerchief.
Yeah, that was when Orgeron was the coach,
Yeah.
right?
Where did you?
I'll tell you, Kiffin in that picture is almost as big as Orgeron.
Yeah, Kiffin's dialed it back. That's an old picture of him. He has lost a lot of weight.
That's pandemic lane. Look at that. You see the scarf around his neck?
I did not know how much he had lost until I saw some old photos of him. He
was comfort hunting.
He was comfort hunting back there in Oxford. He had packed it on.
I mean, look, there is no jaw there.
No.
It's just one jowl down to his shoulders.
Why did you listen? Did you just go back and listen to that song for the heck of it, or did you stumble across it?
Well, so Dunaway came and reminded me because whatever reason, I always forget about Friday headlines. Thank you very much, Dunaway.
You're welcome.
And I was like, damn, I got to pull something quick. So it just came to mind quickly that Colonel Reb's going to be crying after this big Auburn win Saturday night. So I decided to pull that song, a little motivation, and that's what I came up with.
All right. Let's do Browns next, or Rockstar. These are our Monday headlines brought to you by our friends at A+. What do you got for us, Brownie?
We're going to the Lansing State Journal where Michigan's team bus was seized, and they've stolen signs.
No.
While they were in Lansing, guys, unfortunately, they've stolen signs. It is. I mean, this is an epidemic for Michigan now. Their team bus was seized. Western Road, Roberts, all those signs.
Bottom Road.
Bottom Road. You do not want to get lost on Bottom Road.
Nope.
Yeah,
Sure
it's a
don't.
smelly situation there.
I used to have a friend that lived off North Division.
Oh, yeah?
Extension.
On page 2, an Alabama media member is going to be recognized by the University of Alabama for heroism 1 year ago.
Yeah.
That's coming up at the game Saturday.
Do we have the highlights from
1 year ago.
People?
Yes. Is Coach off the field yet? And also on page 3, big day ahead. Rumors abound. Taylor Swift engagement with NFL player.
Do you know she's dating Travis Kelce?
Just NFL player, according to all the headlines, though. Taylor's the bigger name. So, I mean, rumors abound right there. Never know. Never know. It's on page 3. You got to go read about it there in the Lansing State Journal.
All right. You or me, Rockstar?
Oh, we can do me.
Okay. Rockstar is up next.
I can tell Dunaway likes his.
I know. Save it for last.
Just getting to it here. The Ohio statement. What we got, Rocky?
Harrison Jr. takes Penn State to the car wash.
Old Rockstar. Rockstar.
Look at Franklin.
Oh, man.
What's Franklin doing
He's
right
showing
there,
where he
Rockstar?
got shot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is an old reference.
Because Marvin's dad had a little
had a little
problem.
Dust up at a car wash, a little firearm involved there.
You got Walter and Skylar White.
Dude, I like that part of it. Yeah. Oh, they owned a car wash, right, sir? I saw that show.
They were really into it, too.
Yeah,
Did
they liked
really?
a good car. Yeah, big car wash show.
I never made it that deep into it.
Yeah, it's pretty significant storyline there.
And now,
No,
without further ado,
don't
best for
oversell. This is
last.
my worst one yet.
Yeah.
I'm just getting better at graphics. It's the only reason I like it. Dunaway Digest. Hard enough, rough enough, rich enough. Beast of Burden, Missouri, 38-24 over Cox there. Like that one. Far right. Man wins lottery, not games on page 2. Jimbo Fisher, $76.8 million.
Yes, he has.
Yes.
And then in entertainment news, Rockstar, I can't read that one. What does that one say?
it says Pooncast canceled after first episode.
Oh, it only made it one episode?
Well, we're going to see. So Lil T is going to be working on a logo that we're going to send to our buddy TJ Miller. We're going to see if we can get this thing off the ground.
Well, why don't you just use the word Pooncast and just let his head be the second O? I was really happy on the graphic that I was able
you
to
did do that. Okay.
do the cutout and be able to, what do you call that when you lay that on top of something?
Overlay?
Overlay.
Yeah, I know. We could do that. I don't know if we want to use the Gentle Giant tour, but one of his pictures, I
So
don't
it's
think
going
that's bad at all.
to be you and TJ doing the podcast?
Yeah, I mean, it'll just be Pooncast featuring TJ Miller, and then hopefully we'll be able to send him something, and
interesting.
He told me day of, and then he told me again that night that he was interested in doing it.
Mentioned it on the stage. Yeah. We're going to be doing a podcast.
Yeah, so we'll
significant alcohol consumption and all of that too. So
yeah. But I think that's kind of a day to day for
TJ. So you think he
for our man TJ? Yeah, I mean he functions completely fine that way. So I don't know if it'll ever happen. I wish it could happen because I think it would be a lot of fun to do that, but we'll see.
All right. So that is our Monday headlines today, brought to you by our friends at A+. More of the game breakdowns coming up. Rockstar's Playhouse and Trash in the final hour. We'll make our picks in just over an hour as we continue on our pick 3.
You know, there is nothing more undefeated than the chat room, including the back row, tearing through the headlines looking for misspelled words.
What was misspelled?
Apparently engagement. I mean, if y'all want me to bang the Lansing State Journal, I'll bang them because they don't have proofreaders. Right. But again, I mean, that's a dying industry. They've laid a lot of people off.
Did you spell it engagement? Because if you did, that's a well-placed wording there, I think.
And by the way, it's not just us. Anytime I go to one of these, .coms, there are a lot of misspelled words.
Yeah,
I mean, that's actually a creative headline because a lot of people, it's gagging them that they're talking so much about Taylor. And so I would embrace that headline saying engagement is spelled 100% correctly.
And Travis could be a freak with that, that highway patrolman mustache. Who knows?
And maybe, back row, that's what the Lansing State Journal meant. I don't know.
Alabama media member reconized.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, there's not a G anywhere to be found.
Guys, look.
It is over in engagement.
Engagement stole it.
We know what happened now.
Yeah, the G.
CESG.
It is literally a dying industry. Have y'all seen a newspaper recently?
University.
Yeah.
University.
Oh, no.
It is I'm trying to tell y'all the newspaper industry is dead. They don't have people to proofread anymore.
The G in recognize got spit all the way over in the other headline.
Dexter Manley proofread this thing.
Ray Charles has a look. It looks good, baby.
It is a dying industry. Why are y'all doing victory laps around a dying industry on the back row like that?
You got bus right at least, though. Way to go. When we come back, we will continue our college football breakdown with more of the big games in the country, including the big ones here in our state. Our friends at Urology Centers of Alabama want to remind you that right now is a great time to remember that early detection is so important no matter what your illness can be. That's why they have 35 urologists at the Urology Centers of Alabama at 16 locations across the state there to help you. They treat all your urological needs from prostate health to kidney stones and everything in between. They'll take care of you. UrologyCentersAlabama.com, UrologyCentersAlabama.com to schedule your appointment today. Stay safe, Alabama.
Spittin' Lugs with ESPN's Tom Luganville and Lance Taylor weekly at Disrupt the Media on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
Going to a big football game? Walking around all day? Then you'll want comfortable shoes. This is Wes McClooney, owner of the New Balance Birmingham store. Score a touchdown with a new pair of ultra-comfortable running or walking shoes. Come to the New Balance Birmingham store. I'm telling you, we'll make sure you have a perfect fit and we'll treat you like the starting QB. Our job is to make sure your feet are happy. Visit the New Balance Birmingham store on Highway 280 next to Chick-fil-A. Your feet will thank you.
A legendary coach once said, "It's not the will to win that matters, it's the will to prepare to win." Bryant bankers have the dedication and experience to put together a financial game plan that's right for you. Stop by one of the 7 Central Alabama locations today or give them a call at 1-855-4-BRYANT to begin preparing for your financial future today. You'll find out what unbeatable service and legendary results are all about. Bryant Bank, Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC.
Hey, Lance Taylor from The Next Round. You've heard me for years talk about our friends at Bromberg's Jewelers, and we welcome you to stop by and see that great customer service at the Mountain Brook and Summit locations, but we'd also love for you to check out their new online shop. They've got plenty to choose from. Great gifts, big and small. Available online, they've got David Yurman, Tudor watches, select diamond and gemstone jewelry, William Henry, seasonal and favorite giftware items and baby gifts as well. They've even got an online sale section. For more information, brombergs.com. Hey, Lance Taylor from The Next Round to tell you about our friends at Gutter Cap. Gutter Cap's that patented aluminum cover system that fits over most existing gutters to keep out debris and eliminate that gutter cleaning. It's backed with a lifetime warranty, almost 20-year service record right here in Birmingham. Stay off that dangerous ladder forever. 45% off the retail price now if you call guttercapbirmingham.com. Call my good friend Chris Stewart now, 205-823-2212. Cap it, don't snap it. It's Gutter Cap.
The wait is over. Tonali has arrived. Beautifully distinctive Italian styling and performance. Come test drive the all-new 2024 Alfa Romeo Tonali plug-in hybrid at Alfa Romeo of Birmingham. The all-new Tonali offers best-in-class horsepower and torque, fastest 0 to 60 times in its class, plus best-in-class range with full electric charge. And best of all, qualified Tonali leasees are eligible for up to $7,500 EV tax credit factored into your lease. Hurry down to Alfa Romeo of Birmingham and experience the all-new Tonali. Storm season is here. Make sure you have a plan of action in place right now. Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing should be your first call when storms hit. Insurance companies love working with Storm Restoration Roofing because of Greg Nelson's name and reputation in the industry. When storms hit, call Greg Nelson. He's local, 205-542-3531. He's the home of the free no-cost roof inspection. Greg from Pell City on Facebook, 205-542-3531. It's Storm Restoration Roofing.
Okay, we got 2 more segments to talk about these big games going on this weekend, so we'll jump into them thanks to our friends at Odie's. We'll be at Odie's next Thursday night. If you have never been to the new location in Homewood, make next Thursday night the night you come out. Hang out with us right there in Homewood. Odie's. We'll be there next Thursday night. We'll have the QR code, as we always do on our Bud Light game night, to where you can scan that and have a chance to win Alabama and Auburn tickets a little bit later on this year. Other than that, Odie's, both locations, fantastic.
Yeah, look, great staff, great bartenders. Our friend Sally, Nurse Sally, you know what she likes to get there sometimes?
The Diablo.
A margarita.
A margarita, wow.
Like if I was, typically in like 14 minutes, we drink the final hour. We have a couple of cocktails, a couple of beers. If I bring in margaritas somehow, would you have one?
I would kill for a margarita at 11 o'clock.
Kill who?
Let me see if I can get a genie lamp and see what we can get done. But live music every Friday and Saturday, both locations of Odie's, the original in Crestline Village, where we do Odie's Team Trivia every Wednesday night. And the one that we will be at, the newest location in Homewood, used to be a Hud's grocery store. It is now right there on the corner. Exit Broadway, right there on Oxmoor Road. Get in this weekend. Ice cold beer buckets full of the Bud Light. Go see Will Haberman and that great staff. It's Odie's Tavern.
I didn't have breakfast, so if you can get if you get 2 more wishes on that lamp, you get a little snack. That'd be good too.
You want how about some Gouda cheese grits with bacon on top?
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
Would that work?
Yeah.
I just came off the fly. That ain't gonna happen.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I'd eat the heck out of it though. Yeah.
Ashley says Friday Fiesta coming up. Oh, if we got a genie, it would be fantastic.
We were supposed to hang out with Ashley last week, and she ends up doing karaoke at freaking what was Jackie's place? Yeah, it was called Jackie's Lounge in Tuscaloosa till 3 or 4 in the morning, so she didn't make it back to Birmingham in time. She was going to come by and see us in studio.
I bet Ashley's fantastic at karaoke with her musical history.
Ashley's just fun.
Yeah. And you see in her little avatar there, she's got a guitar.
Yeah.
Just like Slice.
Slice. We've talked about last calls. If you have not seen the one with Ashley Smith, the former publicist for the iconic and infamous Motley Crue, she had some great stories, or has great stories.
I just remember her as the person that turned me down for a date.
Well, it's kind of a long list.
Not exclusive company.
That's right. It's most of the free world. All right, let's talk about some of these games. Let's roll through these. Let's go. Let's go with this. My headline: Missouri and South Carolina. I know the Brown Bandit earlier this week picked South Carolina. Luther Burden is that good.
Yep.
But this schedule for Missouri down the stretch: South Carolina tomorrow, Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, Arkansas to end out. Missouri's really, really good, a good football team. And maybe they can manage that schedule. But if they don't survive this one, this could start a tailspin to the end of the year for the Book of Eli.
You got to give, the Book of Eli Drinkwitz some credit, though. And they've done really good in one-possession games, being able to find ways to win those games. We mentioned Memphis earlier, Kansas State. They kind of play up to and down to their competition. I think it's an interesting game. I think 7.5 is too many points. I like South Carolina. I think this could be a little shootout mode. Luther Burden, I think the interesting thing about him is he's got to come back next year. He's only 2 years out of high school. He's from East St. Louis, but how much money is he worth to a team right now?
All of it.
Yeah, he can play.
All of it.
The crazy thing about this is statistically, you could make an argument this is the top 3 quarterback matchup all season in the Southeastern Conference. Think about that for a second.
Spencer Rattler doesn't surprise me based on what we saw at the end of last year. Brady Cook is surprising.
And Cook's the better one in the game.
Right now, maybe more consistent.
It's really close, though. It is really, really close. And 2 good receivers, and when Burden is healthy, and Burden and Leggett. But I still do like South Carolina here. Should have won that game last week against Florida. I'm kind of playing the fact that I'm not sure Missouri is as good as we think they are, and the fact that South Carolina is going to bounce back from that loss.
So you're agreeing with the Brown Bandits, what you're saying?
I am agreeing with the Brown Bandits. I like South Carolina.
I am
here.
too.
Okay, in the Bible, Elijah was a prophet in the Book of Eli, right? He's a prophet.
Preach, preach.
Do you think
minor or major?
Do you think he was a major or minor prophet? I don't know. He's a pretty good one, though. I know that. When he spoke, kings listened.
Yes.
I'm just telling you. Do you think if he was thinking, projecting the season, Elijah Drinkwitz thought his Missouri team would be at this position right now, ranked 20th in the country?
No, I don't think so.
No.
And they're a hair away. They could have easily beaten LSU in that game.
Yeah, they could have easily lost to Kansas State.
That's right.
Though.
That is kind of the life of a team like Missouri. When you find yourself in this spot, you look back on it and you're like, man, we're a play or 2 away from being undefeated.
That's right.
And we're probably 2 or 3 plays away from being a 2 or 3 loss team even.
So when I say the rest of the schedule, South Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, Arkansas.
They're about to start stacking some losses.
Yeah, I'd say that they'd be lucky to go 2-3.
2-3 in that one.
And this is one they've got to have.
And I think that would tell you about Luther Burden's future right there. If they're 2-3 down the stretch, 1-4 down the stretch, he's going to be like, okay, I've done enough for the state school. I'm good. I'm going to go 1 year where I can play for a championship.
Troy, love how 4 months ago he was calling Eli the worst coach in the SEC. Still might be.
I've been probably more critical of him than anybody on the show.
Yeah, look, I just said he's done a really good job this year. But, we don't know anything about Zach Arnett. Good defense coordinator, have no idea how he's going to turn out as a head coach. But if you're choosing head coaches, I guess you would take Eli over Clark Lee right now.
I would take him over Zach Arnett, Clark Lee.
See, I go back to...
That might be it.
And I always say this on the show, what other coaches think of him. And I just remember those Alabama coaches during the pandemic, that pandemic season, talked about that year Missouri was the best coached team against them. They really thought Missouri was well coached. And that's what I always go back to. Like Nick last week was just raving about how Sam Pittman's teams fight hard. They don't win a lot of games here lately, but they are in all of them, you have to admit. Yeah. So they do fight hard. I always listen to the coaches on that one. So you would take him over Jimbo, right? As Troy question, tough question.
I guess.
Put you on the spot there.
I don't know.
I don't feel good about it.
I don't want either one of them. I think one's doing a good job with what he has, and one is doing an awful job with what he has. So with that said, yeah.
Quickly through these games, Ole Miss and Auburn, we talked about a lot in the first one. Ole Miss's offense is just so helter-skelter, is an old reference, erratic. Their offense was not good against Alabama. was okay against Tulane, was great against LSU. Which offense is going to show up at Jordan-Hare Stadium?
Well, you hope it's not the offense last year where they rushed for 498 yards en route to put in a 48 spot on Auburn. But how about this? Ole Miss is 3-17 all-time at Jordan-Hare. They've lost 8 of their last 9. In that 9-game stretch, the only win came 2015 when Hugh Freeze was on the sideline for Ole Miss.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah. I will say this. Jackson Dart has stopped turning the football over this year.
He's a good quarterback.
It was the thing that plagued him the most. You could see signs of him being a really good quarterback, and then he'd make a terrible pass and turn it over to inopportune time. Only 2 interceptions this year through their bye week. And I think, had you told Lane Kiffin that at the start of this year, he would really feel good about where his team was, because that was the one thing holding their offense back.
Rockstar, give me cut number 2. This is Lane Kiffin talking about Jordan-Hare Stadium. Remember, there was a time that we thought Lane Kiffin was going to be coaching in Jordan-Hare Stadium for all his home games. Now he has to go play there as sort of the villain after last year's coaching search. Here's what he says about Auburn's home field.
Lane, you mentioned Auburn being a different team at home. What makes that the case in your mind?
I don't know that answer. I mean, the analytics support it, certainly. You can see our record there. We like breaking records and doing things. So someone said, we win this game, it's the first back-to-back wins against Auburn in 71 years. So that's a pretty exciting thing to be able to do. I just think that place, haven't played it here, haven't played it at Alabama, just sometimes has kind of some magical things happen in it. That they're always sold out. Fans seem to be in it all the game from the beginning on. And they seem to play better there, especially at night, if you look at the stats over years.
Fully expect Gage and the rest of the characters in Pet Sematary to roll out, and there will be some voodoo magic going on at Jordan-Hare Saturday night. I don't know how it's going to happen, but this is, and I said this last night on Bud Light Game Night, I think you kind of agreed with me. I think at any level of football, you can make an argument Jordan-Hare is the best home field advantage.
I can't think of a place that we actually count on a team who's not really good, Auburn, winning games because of the home field advantage. And that, I mean, this Auburn team is not good.
Yeah, but they're not bad. The offense is bad.
Right.
The defense is not bad. I don't know how to put this really.
Yeah, that is a weird statement.
Yeah. Well, look,
it's not a good football team, but I think they're going to beat Ole Miss.
I do too. They're 0-3 in conference play for the first time since.
Auburn is 0-3 in conference play for the first time since 2012.
You're dead on.
That was a terrible season for Auburn.
They've only gone 0-4 in conference play 2 times over the last 70 years. So they're kind of in uncharted territory right here. I've just got a weird feeling that Auburn wins this game.
Do you think Auburn's going to need turnovers to win this game?
Yes.
Though? And that's the thing that, again, I mentioned Jackson Dart. It's not just Jackson Dart. Ole Miss leads the conference in turnover margin. They've only lost 3 turnovers all season long. I mean, they're +6 on the season in turnovers, so they just don't turn the ball over a whole lot. They have really, really cleaned that up, and I do think it's going to require Auburn to get 1, maybe 2 to win this game.
It's fine print, so I got to put my glasses back on. But Vegas, they have their power rating that is really better than the polls usually. Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, Florida State, Oklahoma, Washington, Oregon, Alabama, LSU, top 11, Notre Dame 12, Clemson 13, USC 14. So forth. Ole Miss is 15 in the power ranking. How far down do you think Auburn is? This is Las Vegas odds makers from Phil Steele, who puts this out every week.
So we're just doing Power 5?
It goes 133 deep.
No, everybody, huh?
Yeah.
I would say that Auburn is going to be in the 50s or 60s.
I was going to say 48.
39.
39? I was going to say 48. 39's better than you might think.
Yeah. Now, the percentages are, Iowa just one ahead of Auburn, 113.94. Auburn's 113.65. Washington State now right behind them. SMU right behind them. Air Force right behind them. West Virginia right behind them. South Carolina right behind them, surprisingly.
Oof. Yeah, I don't. Boy, those teams you mentioned against Auburn. If it's in Jordan-Hare, I like Auburn. If it's at any of those places, home stadiums, I like the other teams.
Yeah, but see, by the way I think this works, or at least the way I think it works, So I give Auburn's home field advantage 7 points. I don't know what you do every other place, but I give it 7 points.
Normally it's 3. I think Auburn's is every bit of 7, even sometimes 10.
Okay, so if you go up 10, that would make them 123.65. And Ole Miss is right there at 124.32. It's a pick-em game at that point.
I think it is.
Yeah,
I think you're getting 6.5, so I think you're getting a little value here. Yeah. This is one of those, you take it to overtime, Ole Miss gets ball first, they win by 7, you're kicking yourself in the ass. But
that's right.
I think it'll be a good game.
Our friends at Michelson, MichelsonLaserVision.com, as we look ahead to this upcoming weekend, LT.
205-969-8100. That is the number that I called more than 2 decades ago. I had the 20/200 vision. I was legally blind without the aid of context. Now 2015 vision, better than 2020. Make the phone call that I made. 205-969-8100. Ask for Amy. Tell her the next round sent you. They're going to hook you up with a hassle-free consultation. 0 to lose to find out if LASIK is right for you. For more information, MichelsonLaserVision.com.
More football conversation. Don't forget 9 a.m. Central Time tomorrow on our video platforms for our kickoff show. Emily Grace, EG, will be in Tuscaloosa, covering all the game day festivities for Alabama hosting Tennessee. Rockstar's Playhouse in the next segment. Stay with us. This is TNR.
Follow Rockstar on Twitter at RockstarBHM.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the next round to tell you about our friends at New Life Art. Daniel A. Moore has completed his original full-color oil painting honoring Bryce Young, Alabama's 4th Heisman Trophy winner. This painting depicts the memorable Heisman-worthy go-ahead pinpoint pass to John Mechie in the corner of the end zone as the Tide dismantled the vaunted Georgia defense in the SEC championship game this past year. Use code TNR for 15% off. You can order online at danielmooreart.com.
There are so many things I love about walk-ons. Authentic, mouth-watering Louisiana cuisine, prepared fresh, daily from scratch. A great beer selection and TVs everywhere to watch the big game every day of the week. And of course, they've got 2 great locations on Highway 280 and 119 and at Hoover near the Hoover Met. Walk-ons is also a great place for happy hour. 2 to 6 Monday through Friday with $5 moonshine swirls, $5 house pours, and half-price appetizers. And it's an easy take-home experience for the family as well. Highway 280 in Hoover with walk-ons.
As summer bids adieu, get ready to welcome the arrival of fall. But hey, it's not just football season making an entrance. In the world of Pest, it's fall invader season. Hold on tight, because we got 4 major troublemakers stepping into the spotlight: box elder bugs, kudzu bugs, ladybugs, and stink bugs. These pests don't just knock, they barge in like they own the place. But fear not, dial up Wayne's Pest Control now, 865-588-6686, and show those fall invaders who's boss. Don't let pests crash your fall. Take charge today.
Let's face it, a home is one of the most powerful assets you can have, and our friends at Mortgage Right want to help you build wealth through home ownership. Mortgage Right is all about providing competitive rates, a variety of loan products, and a multitude of resources for a seamless home buying experience. They treat their borrowers like family and are always looking to bring more happy homeowners under their roof. See more by visiting mortgageright.com/TNR today and start living. That's mortgageright.com/TNR. NMLS 2239, equal housing lender.
Football season is here, and Legacy Credit Card is just what you need to manage your spending safely and wisely. Credit cards offer better consumer protection against fraud when compared to a debit card, which is linked directly to your bank account. Legacy offers rates as low as 8.9% APR on credit cards compared to major card providers who advertise rates as high as 29% APR. Look no further than Legacy. Open a credit card online in minutes at legacycreditunion.com/join.
APR's annual percentage rate, rates, and offers subject to change. See website for details. Federally insured by NCUA. The extra hours of sunshine are back on the clock, and that means it's time for golf at Timberline, a short drive from Birmingham or Montgomery. Go to timberlinegc.com to book your tee times, schedule a lesson, or just drop by and use the TrackMan technology on the driving range. The course is always fun, in great shape, and you can even become a member. Get all the details at timberlinegc.com. It's time to get your golf on with our friends at Timberline.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, and Rockstar. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the next round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
McAfee is live at the game day set outside of the stadium in Columbus, and a wide shot there on TV3. Brown went to a concert up there this year. I've been to a football game there, but not an Ohio State game. And I just always thought it was maybe the ugliest stadium in college football.
Surprising to me how dated it really is. It just looks so old, and it looks like they haven't really updated anything throughout it. Like when you go to, SEC stadiums, they're old stadiums obviously, but they've tried to update the fan experience on the inside. This looks like you've stepped back into time. I was blown away at how old that stadium looks.
But the fans are right on top of the action.
That was the other thing. I was at a concert, not a game, but I was looking at that Dunaway. It feels like you literally are sitting on the sidelines.
You're looking down from heaven at some of the
could be a tough place.
Original roundtable. I was asking Ian about some really good game day atmospheres, and he's like, Michigan, not so much.
I've always heard that
because I was talking about USC because he's going to be at the Coliseum this weekend. It's funny how his games kind of line up with Brock Heward's games, but they're both going to be out there. And I was like, that's some of the worst tailgate atmosphere ever. And we started getting into it a little bit, and he's like, Columbus is legit.
Yeah, Luganville said the same thing because I was asking him about that Stadium Dunaway on Ball this week. Both those shows Lance is talking about, Lance and I are talking about at Disrupt the Media on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, the links are in the show description that you're watching. And Luganville said the same thing Lance just said. Michigan, he's like, I've been there. He goes 100,000, sound like 40,000 in Michigan. He said, Ohio State's different. That is a stadium where the crowd does impact the game, like we were just talking about with Jordan Hare.
Yeah, I would tell you that traditional powers from the 70s and early 80s, back before craziness in college stadiums were insane, those fan bases get bad reps and raps because of their lack of enthusiasm. The hungry fan bases, they create better atmospheres, and you have to adapt, It just, Alabama's gotten better over the years. It's not where Auburn or LSU is yet. I would imagine Michigan suffers from some of the same things Alabama suffers from, that a lot of money people who've supported the programs for years and years have a lot of really good seats, and they don't like to stand up and scream and act a fool.
That's right.
All right, back to the games we go. The show being brought to you in part today by our friends at MyBookie, mybookie.ag. As we talk about these games, you can actually play them. We said it last night, though. Only play for entertainment purposes there, mybookie.ag.
Listen, Jimmy D, for another weekend, you could jump on and get that 110% sign-on bonus. I don't know if they'll extend it another weekend after this one, so take advantage right now. Jump on at mybookie.ag, make your initial deposit, and they match that deposit with a 110% sign-on bonus. That is absolutely free money that you can use and use right away at mybookie.ag. In fact, win with it just the one time, and it is yours forever. There are a lot of places that will give you a sign-on bonus, but you got to win 4 times, 5 times, 6 times to make it yours. Not mybookie.ag. Win once, it is yours forever. 110% sign-on bonus. They got a casino there. They've got the money bag where you can spin the wheel for odds in a game just to have a little bit of fun and increase your enjoyment of the overall game just by playing it right there at mybookie.ag. Code next round when you sign on and get that 110% sign-on bonus with mybookie.ag. That is when you use code next round.
Ush has sent his pick 3 in on Twitter. He likes UCF, Washington State, and Ole Miss. UCF, Washington State, and Ole Miss this weekend. You can go play Buffalo Wild Wings pick 3 right now, nextroundlive.com, nextroundlive.com. You only have to go 3-0 once. Maybe you haven't played all year long, and you only decide, hey, it's week 8, I want to play this pick 3, brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings at nextroundlive.com. You go to the website, you pick your games. If you go 3-0, you're in the drawing, just like anybody who won in week 1 or week 2 or week 3. Now, the more you win, the better chance you have to win overall because you have more balls in the bucket. Go play right now, nextroundlive.com, brought to you by our friends at Buffalo Wild Wings. Tonight, SMU Temple. Then we get to tomorrow's action. 11 o'clock window. Here are the good games. Penn State, Ohio State, the big noon kickoff on Fox. UCF, Oklahoma, 11 a.m. on ABC. Could be interesting, you say?
I think it could be, with Rice Plumlee back in that lineup. They haven't been good in the Big 12. Obviously, they haven't won a conference game yet, but they still have a lot of talent.
Also,
and Oklahoma is one of those teams that looks good, but you saw them look a little lethargic against Cincinnati, and I think Central Florida could be the better team.
Also in that window, Memphis and UAB, Protective Stadium. We want you to go to the stadium and make it look good on television, but it's a great TV window nationally for UAB in that 11 o'clock window. Army-Navy, 11 o'clock on CBS. The home team has won 9 of the last 10.
You mean Air Force Navy?
Excuse me, yeah. Air Force Navy on CBS, 11 o'clock. Home team's won 9 of the last 10. but Air Force doesn't have their quarterback.
Yeah, that's a problem.
And it's on the East Coast at a very early kick time for those guys traveling. I know they fight wars in different time zones, but here they come. Air Force playing early kick time in Annapolis.
Yeah, look, Air Force last week played a much better team in Wyoming, and I think they would have won the game by double digits if quarterback doesn't go down. But he does go down, and now instead of being maybe a 17.5-point favorite, you're a 10.5-point favorite. They should still find a way to win this game. And I would hate it for Troy Calhoun, who's been doing this a long time, to have an opportunity of being that Group 5 team that goes to the New Year's Six, and he blows it because of a backup quarterback. I still think they're good enough to beat this Navy team without their starting quarterback.
Boston College, Georgia Tech. A lot of people are picking BC in an upset in Atlanta for that one. Baylor, Cincinnati. Cincinnati probably thought to themselves, man, we get to a big Power 5 conference, we'll have the best TV package in the world, right? We'll be on national TV all the time. Nope, the conference they left, the American, has Memphis UAB at ESPN2. The conference they're in, the Big 12, Baylor, Cincinnati, 11 o'clock, ESPN Plus, streaming.
Listen, Emory Jones has been erratic at Cincinnati, which is not surprising because where else was Emory Jones erratic?
Florida.
At Florida. I don't think we should be surprised by this. 11 touchdowns, 8 picks for him. This has been, I would have to, I don't know what Cincinnati's expectations were, as a fan base, having lost Luke Fickell to Wisconsin. I don't know if they expected to compete better than this in the Big 12, but I think I did. I think I expected them to compete a little bit better in the Big 12 than they have.
I didn't have any expectation this year for Cincinnati with Fickell leaving, Satterfield taking that program over. Weird move on his part, but I guess he was going to get bumped anyway or bounced anyway for Brom. I didn't have any expectation for
Well,
him.
they've lost 4 straight right now, going back to that Miami, Ohio loss for Cincinnati. Desperate for a win anywhere, and it just is not going well for them in the Big 12.
Let me bring up one point that Luganville told me, and this does make a lot of sense. When Utah and TCU both transitioned in to Power 5 conferences, over the first 3 years, they were sub 500. And so right now you see Cincinnati, you see
BYU.
Yeah, BYU, Central Florida. At least BYU's got a winning record. Now that could quickly turn south. But these teams are struggling right now with the transition.
But the only new team win still is BYU beating Cincinnati. That's the only new Big 12 team that's won a game, if I'm not mistaken, still, is BYU's one win, and it was over another new team in Cincinnati.
2:30 window, Tennessee, Alabama. We've talked a lot about that. Washington State and Oregon in this contest. Washington State's run defense is really, really bad. One of the worst in the FBS lately. Oregon runs the ball really well. Number 1 in the FBS, 6.6 yards per carry. If they run the ball, it should be an easy win for Oregon.
It should be, but you wonder where Oregon mentally is after last week, and you wonder if Dan Lanning kind of overcoaches now, with him second-guessing himself with the 4th down decisions last week and blaming himself for that game. Bucky Irving can have a monster game against Washington State, but if Cam Ward plays like the Cam Ward we saw a month ago, this game could be somewhat interesting.
But his last 2 weeks have been 1 touchdown, 3 picks from Cam Ward.
That's a problem.
Yeah, that's a big problem. And Dunaway, a guy that had been tearing it up, has not passed for 200 yards in the last 2 weeks.
And
he's had 2 sub-200-yard games.
Brought this up earlier. Bo Nix leading the FBS with a 78% completion percentage. That is the highest completion percentage through 6 games for any quarterback over the last 20 years with 200-plus attempts.
How about that? Bo Nix. But lost the game.
I never thought we'd see him complete over 55% of his passes.
South Carolina, Missouri's in the 2:30 window, SEC Network. Big game for Missouri there. Texas, Houston kicks off the 3 o'clock window there on Fox. Texas, much better team than Houston. Houston saved by that Hail Mary at the end of the game against West Virginia last week. Should be an easy win there for Texas. And then the night games we'll get to right after I remind you this hour is brought to you by our friends at Champy's. Champy's world-famous fried chicken, Highway 119 in Alabaster. For all your football, any of these windows we're talking about, any of these games, enjoy it with the best food out there. Sterling and the crew. There's the menu they lay out for you there. Mississippi Delta recipe tamales to start off with. Great appetizer. Some people eat them as meals, Lance. Wonderful deep-fried chicken. Brined overnight, cooked to order, hand-cut chicken fingers, everything, all the great sides. Perfect date night as well. Highway 119 in Alabaster. It's Champy's world-famous fried chicken. Ole Miss Auburn's part of that window at night. We've talked about that. TCU Kansas State. All of a sudden a fun game because TCU looks better with their quarterback, their backup quarterback who can sling it 400 yards he did last week passing. And then Avery Johnson runs the ball for Kansas State, and Will Howard is back. fun game. Can TCU get the win here on the road?
I mean, they can, but I think this is going to be a difficult place for TCU and a backup quarterback going to Manhattan. I think Kleiman will make those adjustments, and I can't wait to see the 1-2 punch at quarterback for Kansas State.
Duke Miami is in this window as well, right?
Duke Florida State.
Duke Florida State's in this window as well. Riley Leonard could be playing. Clemson Miami's in this window as well on the ACC network. Not a lot of talk about Clemson Miami this week.
Well, Miami has lost 2 straight. I mean, there was a time where we were pointing at this game as a prove-it game for Miami, right? Is Miami a legitimate contender in this conference? Well, since we talked about that, Miami completely gave that game away against Georgia Tech and then went and got the doors beat off by North Carolina.
Yeah, those are 2 of the most disappointing teams for me this year, Miami and Texas A&M. And I know they played earlier this year, but when you've got the coaches getting paid what they're getting paid, you've got those fan bases starving and spending a ton of money on players for you, and now you're in situations where the seasons are totally wiped. One quick point on Florida State Duke. Obviously, Riley Leonard is going to be huge if he plays in this game. But Florida State, I don't know if this is a surprise or not, 21-0 all-time against Duke. I guess that's not surprising.
It's not surprising, but, I mean, Cutcliffe had moments. And this, if Riley was 100%.
I think this could be a really good game.
And they had stopped that 4th and 16. This would be a monumental game. It would be the biggest game in Duke football history.
Yeah.
But guess what? Game day still wouldn't be there.
They wouldn't be.
They still wouldn't be there.
Can I give you a quick Miami stat, too? Yep. I was looking at Tyler Van Dyke this morning, and his wins this year, which that was the first 4 games that they played, 11 touchdowns, 1 pick. Last 2 weeks, 5 touchdowns, 5 picks.
You can't turn the football over.
You just can't. And Tyler Van Dyke is just not playing as well as he looked like a stud against Texas A&M. That was one of the big. They have 5 touchdowns, no picks in that game.
This will be a physical game, Miami and Clemson.
Yeah, low score.
Yeah, I would say probably low score.
Yeah, and late window, disappointing again, UCLA and Stanford. Arizona State and Washington. I don't think Arizona State has any. It becomes a fun window if Arizona State can do anything with Washington.
I have got a side on both of those games. They will be up at lanceslock.com. So you might say on paper these look like awful games. But guess what? If you've got action on them, whether you got the dog or the favorite, makes it much more entertaining.
All right. At this time every week we do Rockstar's Playhouse. It is brought to you by the great folks at Storm Restoration Roofing. Greg from Pell City. My goodness, Greg loves him some Rockstar.
Look in there.
He's here. Look. Greg is actually here. He loves Rockstar so much.
He fell through the roof.
He loves Rockstar so much he's come up here to hang out with him. Greg from Pell City gives you that free, no-cost roof inspection. He tells me all the time, he goes, Jim, you'd be amazed that people don't know what's going on in their roof, and it just takes a 20-second hailstorm to do some damage on your roof that could cause water entry points that could do thousands upon thousands of dollars worth of damage before you even know you got a problem up there. That's why you got to get the roof inspected. Greg will literally, when he's not here, get on your roof for free, no obligation, give you a free no-cost roof inspection. 205-542-3531, 542-3531, or look him up on Facebook. Greg from Pell City on Facebook. He and his wife owned the company for over 20 years, A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. And the best part is insurance companies trust him, which always helps you out in the long run. It's Storm Restoration Roofing, Greg from Pell City. And give him a call for that free no-cost roof inspection, 205-542-3531, Rockstar.
Rockstar's Playhouse, it's a Rockstar's Playhouse, it's a Rockstar's Playhouse, come out and play. Rockstar's Playhouse, it's a Rockstar's Playhouse, it's a Rockstar's Playhouse, come out and play.
What is happening?
Oh, boy. Swell. It's the finale of season 1 of Rockstar on the Wound. We have not been notified if we got picked up for a second season, but we ended this season with a banger. We got to interview Miss Maggie Dunaway.
Oh, wow, Lady
nice
Maggie.
China.
Yeah.
Wow.
Lady Maggie.
Yeah,
You
so
ended it with a banger, and then you used my wife with a comma, or was there a sentence between?
Brown wrote the article. I don't know.
Brown wrote the article.
Yeah, it's a run-on.
Lansing State Journal.
It's colon. So we interviewed, and it's going to go like a little bit like this. So this is the final one of Rockstar in the Womb, season 1, episode, what is this, 4, 5? I don't know.
All right, welcome back to the show. It's me, I'm Douche Chillington, and I'm here with my guest, Lady Maggie, and we're going to have a spot of tea because we know how Lady Maggie likes her British style. I can't do it. It's me, Rockstar.
I was worried you were going to do that the whole time.
No, I couldn't keep it up the whole time because then it would have been awkward and cheesy. It's another episode of In the Womb. We are actually back in the womb this time, and this is the sweet chair I get to sit in. That's very uncomfortable. But we have Lady Maggie Dunaway, and she gets to sit in the beautiful Lego chair. Lady Maggie, what is it like to be married to the guy that gets to sit across from Ryan Brown every day?
Sean, what can I say about that? It's a roller coaster ride.
Is it a fun roller coaster ride? Is it the going up part, or are you get to the point where it's going down? Is the adrenaline going up?
I'm not sure if you've ever been on that roller coaster at Disney, the one Everest that's in Animal Kingdom.
Oh, wow.
But you know, it's super fun until it's not.
Have we reached the point where it's not fun anymore?
We've had a few of those moments. But overall, it's the ride of my life, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Well, we had this conversation on the Mystery Fifth Hour. It's a great question. Who has had more dinners with Jim Dunaway in the past 10 years? You or Ryan Brown?
Or Lance Taylor.
True.
Usually, takes over my date night with a steak payoff.
No.
At which point,
and you're never
comes home
invited
and
to
I
those
said,
things.
did you just use our date night money on Lance?
And he says, babe, I have to do it for the show.
Although Lance has been a little...
Oh, your husband is fully ahead right now.
Yeah,
I think he's seven or eight steaks
fully
ahead. So maybe you get Lance to pay for you one night.
I've suggested that. You could knock out two.
Well, that's mean to do it. Truth time.
Oh, no. That wasn't the truth?
How often do you watch the show, and how often are you texted from friends and family that you're being talked about on the show? So
would you say which one is greater than the other?
Oh, I know which one's greater.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And then do you tune in? Do you want to tune in if somebody says, oh my God, what he just said about you guys, you need to tune in? Or do you go back and listen to it or just like,
So I actually just had a conversation. I was kind of in that zone. I've been in that zone for quite a while. But I had a conversation with a church member last night. And he was like, boy, Jim really does talk about you a lot.
Openly.
To which I'm usually like, take it with a salt shaker as opposed to the grain of salt, But I'm picking it back up, Rockstar. I'm going to have to pick it back up.
Can you do a good Jim Dunaway impression?
Oh gosh, no. Who can? Such an enigma. Can you? Will you do it for me?
I think you've done it before. Let's.
You have to set it up.
Yeah, give me a scenario, and I will be Jim Dunaway.
Okay. This is one I know of recently. This is not going to go well.
Okay.
So, but you've never been on the golf course with him, so.
No, I don't play golf.
Do you know any of the etiquette rules of golf?
No.
There's a lot. It's a lot.
I'm sure there's dinners are fun
let's say,
when he's explained the etiquette rule
for
of golf.
instance, the etiquette of golf, and I know this from riding in the cart with Jim and him instructing. Like, you're not supposed to talk behind the person. If you ride in the cart, you're supposed to ride up to them, no shadow. There's a lot of. So you're Jim. You hit a bad shot, and behind you, someone is just chatting it up.
Oh no. Okay, so what I would do if I was doing a Jim impression, I would. Sorry guys.
There's the face.
I'm sorry if I interrupted y'all's conversation. I was in the middle of that golf shot. I'm sorry if that swing interrupted you guys. I'm so sorry. I apologize. My wife is in the car. She's never seen me play. I apologize if we were in your way of your conversation. So we're going to go ahead and go to the next hole.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Good day. Have a good day.
That's it.
And then this thing.
Yeah, there's a lip. It's a lip. It's difficult to.
And it's a temple rub.
Yeah, the temple rub.
Yeah.
It's difficult to get that lip thing just right, but there's a hand in the heads. No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
No. This is. You're sitting there. You're playing.
Yeah.
You're sitting. I'm playing golf. It's fine. This is a golf course. That's fine. Like it's built for conversation. You guys go ahead and finish your conversation.
No, he's got it way better than I.
One of your final questions.
Yes.
This might be a little uncomfortable.
Oh God.
People want to know. Can you describe you and Jim's first kiss?
People want to know.
Yeah, people ask me all the time.
All the time.
Yes, all the time.
Number one
My
question on the
grandfather,
show.
nonstop.
Do you mean specific technique?
No,
or?
like the time that he leaned in for that first kiss. Like you guys had been seeing each other casually, and then this is my moment. I'm going to seize the day.
Magical. That's
For
probably
him
not
or
what
for
you were
you?
looking. For me too.
Was there an apology afterward? I'm so sorry. I think
no
I was reading.
apology. No matter what he has said, it was a fantastic first kiss. I don't care what he says.
Second kiss good or two?
I can't remember that one.
All right. Well, we have been.
Have you been told otherwise? By
No,
John?
that was just a.
It's just random?
I would love to hear his explanation of what the first kiss was.
I feel certain it won't
and
match that.
You were probably crawling away, or you were like, she had to fight her for it. I finished my tea. This has been Lady Maggie in the womb.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming in
delight,
on your 37th birthday.
Thank
you so much.
It's hard to believe.
And I always give my.
Yeah.
I always give.
Yeah.
All right. That was the. In the womb.
That was it.
With
That
Lady
was it.
Maggie. Okay. I love you.
Rockstar's Playhouse, it's a Rockstar's Playhouse, it's a Rockstar's Playhouse, come out and play. Rockstar's Playhouse, it's a Rockstar's Playhouse, it's a Rockstar's Playhouse, come out and play.
Wasn't uncomfortable at all, Rockstar.
No.
Yeah.
Well, we went a little long. The thing was like 12 minutes long. We had to shave it down. But one of my favorite
Wait,
parts.
you're telling me that a Dunaway went longer in a segment than it was supposed to?
I told her only 2 minutes, and she was like, "That was only 45 minutes." I asked her because she's enrolled at Duke, and I said, "Can you give me a shot? Spell Krzyzewski for me?"
Oh,
and that was fun. I think she went with a C first.
Did she really?
Yeah. There's no way. I know KR, and I'm done.
The first Duke basketball game she watched was right after she got accepted to Duke, and it was the Final Four of Duke and North Carolina. And I think she started watching close to the end of the first half. And I was upstairs watching where I always watch the games, and I heard her cheer after a Duke basket. And I was like, "You're watching the game?"
She's all
like,
in blue
yeah.
face.
Yeah, and she was talking about how awesome Coach K was, and I was like, "Yeah, watch the rest of this game because he's not coaching anymore."
That's right.
Yeah, you got him for one half of your time at Duke. All right, Rockstar, thank you for being so gentle there. I thought I
didn't go overboard.
Because the first kiss, I'll go ahead and tell the story.
Okay, please.
Because she jokes all the time. I'm not a great kisser, and apparently I went in way too much tongue too early on the first kiss.
Yes.
She didn't have her mouth open yet?
Show on Brown real quick, because I don't know what you're talking about.
Licked her face?
So it often becomes a running joke. Like
Was she still dating your buddy?
Not at the time. No, not at the time. But
legitimate question.
But it becomes a running joke. Like if I've got too much Redmont vodka, like I did earlier this week,
right?
And I roll into the house, and I start trying for the kiss, as you often do when you've got too much Redmont vodka.
You got something pretty on your face.
And she will always say, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. Put the tongue back in its place. Start off with the proper way to kiss somebody." And then, so a little too much tongue early on. That was our first
how
kiss.
much?
How much?
Is this a segue into Redmont Vodka?
Nope, we've already done that. Okay. That was Storm Restoration Roofing's wonderful Rockstar Playhouse today. When we come back, we'll do trash. You can get that free no-cost roof inspection, 205-542-3531, or Greg from Pell City on Facebook. Back in a moment.
Tyler Watts and Jim Dunaway on All Things Alabama. Watch Talk of Champions at Rolltide Pods on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
IV therapy, B12 injections, cryotherapy, and compression therapy all under one roof. It's our friends at Hydra Live Therapy. IV therapy treatments are packed with nutrients to increase energy, reduce stress and anxiety, and boost your immune system, and more. If you mention the next round at checkout, save 20% off any service. You can join the IV League today. Members are rewarded with deep discounts. Make sure you ask about that. Hydra Life Therapy open 7 days a week. Homewood, Tuscaloosa, and coming soon to Greystone. As summer starts to fade, get ready to welcome the arrival of fall. But hey, it's not just football season making an entrance. In the world of Pest, it's fall invader season. Hold on tight because we've got 4 major troublemakers stepping into the spotlight. Box elder bugs, kudzu bugs, ladybugs, and stink bugs. These pests don't just knock, they barge in like they own the place. But fear not, dial up Wayne's Pest Control now, 865-588-6686, and let's show those fall invaders who's boss. Don't let pests crash your party. Take charge today.
A legendary coach once said, "It's not the will to win that matters, it's the will to prepare to win." Bryant bankers have the dedication and experience to put together a financial game plan that's right for you. Stop by one of the 7 Central Alabama locations today or give them a call at 1-855-4-BRYANT to begin preparing for your financial future today. You'll find out what unbeatable service and legendary results are all about. Bryant Bank, Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC.
It's college football time in Alabama. This is Congressman Robert Adderholt. I grew up an Alabama fan, Roll Tide, but my wife, Caroline, grew up an Auburn fan, War Eagle. But no matter who you pull for, whether it's the Lions of the University of North Alabama or the Gamecocks of Jacksonville State or any other school in between, I want to wish all the players, the coaches, and especially the fans another great college football season here in Alabama. I'm Robert Adderholt, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Adderholt for Congress.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop, rare quality, well-done service.
The wait is over. Tonali has arrived. Beautifully distinctive Italian styling and performance. Come test drive the all-new 2024 Alfa Romeo Tonali plug-in hybrid at Alfa Romeo of Birmingham. The all-new Tonali offers best-in-class horsepower and torque, fastest 0 to 60 times in its class, plus best-in-class range with full electric charge. And best of all, qualified Tonali leasees are eligible for up to $7,500 EV tax credit factored into your lease. Hurry down to Alfa Romeo of Birmingham and experience the all-new Tonali.
Trash in just a second, but as we always tell you, a great place to get a little lunch today. Our friends at Milo's, and they've got this wonderful new menu item, the loaded fries that we introduced on the show earlier this football season. It's their classic crinkle cut fries, and then you can top them 2 ways. You can go Mexi fries there, the one on the left, which is queso, bacon, and jalapenos. And that's the Mexi fries. Now, the one on the right is the saucy fries, which is 100% pure ground beef, grilled onions, Milo sauce, and queso on top of that. That's the saucy fries. Download the Milo's mobile app right now. Use the promo code NEXTROUND. Milo's mobile app, promo code NEXTROUND, and you'll get a free loaded fry just for using the promo code NEXTROUND when you download the brand new Milo's mobile app there. Let's get right to trash, Rockstar. Hit the open, buddy.
Yesterday was a little self-inflicted where I pried out that front control panel and cut them wires. They was kind of touching each other, shorting out the brain in the boat, and I didn't have no dash work, and I was back there hot wiring live wells, and it was my own fault.
LT's Trash is presented by Mortgage Right. Mortgages done the right way.
Are you a veteran looking for a VA loan? Mortgage Right has been advocating for veterans since their company began. As a veteran-owned, operated company committed to your well-being, they can help you find the best terms available, guide you through every step of the process. As a veteran-owned, operated company, they understand the difference between working with someone who gets it and someone who doesn't. They've made it their mission to simplify the VA loan process. Visit their locations, Highway 280 in Birmingham, Parkway Drive in Leeds. For more information, you can apply at mortgagedirect.com/TNR. Call 205-815-9200. NMLS 2239, Equal Housing Lender. Yeah, every now and then I'll just see a random DeLorean. Back
Every
to the
now and
future.
then? There used to, when I was a kid, there used to be one in my neighborhood. Somebody in my neighborhood owned a DeLorean, and he would just randomly drive it through the neighborhood. And that was about the time Back to the Future was out, obviously.
Yeah, I'll see one about every 6 months.
Yeah.
I don't, for whatever reason, I just see them. But when Mike McElhatton of Illinois-based DeLorean Midwest got a call from New Mexico about a DeLorean car for sale, he wasn't interested. At least not until he found out the car had only 977 miles on the odometer.
Shut up.
Wow.
DeLorean Midwest specializes in repair, sales, parts distribution for these cult classic cars. Now, he and his business partner, Kevin Thomas, met the 90-year-old owner, Dick, in early October. The trio found the car sunken like buried treasure into the dirt floor of a barn. Men perused the vehicle, which was covered about 2 decades of dust and filled with rodent droppings. Now, in a first for McElhatton, who has seen thousands of DeLoreans in his 16 years working in the business. There were actually live mice running around inside of the car.
Yikes.
Now, DeLorean Midwest will likely need to gut the interior to thoroughly clean out the rodent remains. It will need a good bit of mechanical work, too. McEl Hatton says typically takes around 6 months to get a car like that ready for sale. He also said someone interested in purchasing a DeLorean today can usually find one between $65,000 and $85,000, depending on its mechanical history and mileage. I would think $977 fully restored. I mean, you're getting $250,000.
Oh yeah, but also you're gonna have somebody to service it. Like who are you gonna have to service?
It's gonna be tricky now. You don't
I
have
don't
any
think you're really
dealerships.
going to drive it,
and they
though.
don't make parts for it.
I think this will be more of a collector's piece.
Yeah.
You drive it maybe once every 6 months.
I always liked the look of them when I was a kid. And I don't know if that was because of Back to the Future.
Did you ever see a red one?
Oh, no, I did not.
Several red ones.
Oh, I thought they were just one color. I thought they were only
Yeah, because
silver.
I thought it was stainless.
It is.
And the only way you can clean this is with a lemon, I've heard.
Interesting. That's a big lemon you're going to need.
I've heard that. Like lemon juice, you've got to use it on whatever that stainless is or
Right.
whatever the, yeah.
Man.
I never liked them.
You didn't?
No. Did Trump? Who started DeLoreans?
John DeLorean.
John
DeLorean named
yeah.
it after himself.
He did.
Why would you not, right?
Yeah.
Did not
But
go
Trump
well.
had no
Had a little bit of a
investment
blow
in it at
problem.
all.
I don't know that Donald Trump ever had
Yeah.
any investment, no.
Now, he might have done some blow with John DeLorean.
You're
I don't know.
thinking Back to the Future 2, Future Biff was basically based off of Donald Trump.
Oh, okay.
Was he really?
Yeah. If you
I
watch
know
it,
that.
it's big time.
Wow.
The look and everything.
Ed Curry, the South Carolina hot pepper expert who crossbred and grew the Carolina Reaper that's hotter than most pepper sprays police use to subdue criminals, has broken his own world record with a pepper that is 3 times hotter. This is exactly what we needed, right?
That's right, yeah. Hotter pepper.
This is so stupid. Pepper X, publicly named the hottest Reaper in the world on October 9th by the Guinness Book of World Records, beating out the Reaper and Curry's decade-long hunt to perfect a pepper that he says provides, quote, immediate and brutal heat. That's exactly what I'm looking for in my peppers.
Brutal
right?
is what you want, Lance.
Now, Curry said when he first tried Pepper X, it did more than just warm his heart. Quote, I was feeling the heat for 3.5 hours. Then the cramps came. Curry is one of only 5 people so far to eat an entire Pepper X. He said the cramps were horrible. I was laid out on a flat marble wall for approximately an hour in the rain, groaning in pain.
Did you say the Scoville?
I'm about to get to it.
Okay, wow.
Heat in peppers is measured in Scoville heat units. Now, 0 is bland, and a regular jalapeno pepper registers about 5,000 units.
5,000.
A habanero, the record holder about 25 years ago, typically tops at 100,000. Guinness Book of World Record lists the Carolina Reaper at 1.64 million units, and the new Pepper X, the record, is now an average 2.7 million units.
Wow. I just love
Bear
spicy.
Spray is, by the way, 2.2 million units.
Love spicy stuff. Eat it all the time, but I just don't want anything that
Well, this is
causes
novelty.
pain. I know it's novelty.
You're
I
not
know.
putting it in something.
So it's the Reaper is that much more than just the jalapeno, and then this is another million more than
That's right.
the Carolina Reaper.
Yep.
Wow.
This is basically 500,000 times what a jalapeno pepper is.
At some point, it's
blister your lips.
At some point, it's like Tiger Stadium sound. It can only get so loud, right? I mean, at some point, it can only get so high.
I don't know what you would have to pay me to eat that thing.
$100,000.
I'd try it for 100,000, but I don't think I'd do it for any less.
Like if you use it to cook, like if you do it in your chili or something, it should be almost a criminal offense to feed that to somebody without
No doubt.
warning them that it's in it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it wouldn't be edible.
The bowl's all cracked.
Yeah, it's bubbling,
steaming.
See, my dogs right now are so, we'll call them feral, that if I drop that on the ground, Chili, without thinking, would eat it.
Yep, and
it
regret it immediately.
Oh, it'd kill him.
Yep.
Kill her. Yeah. This one out of Lakeland, Florida. Lakeland man tried to evade deputies through unconventional means when they tried to arrest him for aggravated battery. Now, the sheriff's office said about 2:45 p.m. on Saturday, deputies were looking for Johnny Yates, 41 years old, only to be greeted by a whiteboard with the message, Johnny Yates does, quote, not live here.
You know, I
All
believe
caps.
the sign, man. It's right there in writing.
Yeah.
Sheriff's office
It's right
said
by my golf clubs.
deputies saw a person leaving the home who told them that Johnny was inside with several other people. The deputies used a loudspeaker to command Yates to leave the home, but after about an hour, they used smoke to get the occupants out. Now, after still getting no response, deputy used K9 to search the house. Sheriff's office said the dog sniffed out Yates, who was hiding in a, quote, modified chest of drawers. Criminal arrest affidavit after his arrest said that deputies said he ate all his meth and, quote, blue pills.
Rockstar, I'm going to need a follow-up on the modified chest of drawers that a man could hide in.
They didn't have a picture of that, but what's great is, God, it's so damn bright in your house, Johnny. What can I do? Smack a dab of paint on there, dude. Paint over it.
No drapes.
He ate blue pills, plural.
Yeah.
Is that Viagra?
I mean, I'm not into blue pills, but I would think that
they're known to be blue, yes.
Could be a leaf. You don't know.
Two brothers and another man are facing federal charges following a kidnapping that took some bizarre twist, including an attempted waterboarding when they tried to make the victim help them lure the intended target, according to federal officials. Dude, the guy on the far right, he's got a look. I mean, yes or no? Killed somebody?
I mean, if I had to guess, I'd say yes. Yeah. I wouldn't tell him to his face.
Now, the suspects kidnapped the man at gunpoint inside of his apartment in Plantation, Florida on October 13th. According to the criminal complaint filed in federal court, they tossed his cell phone out of the car as they drove to a home where they took him inside. Eventually, they learned that they had the wrong person, mistaking him for his coworker, who was the intended target.
That's my fault.
He told police the men threatened him, put an electric drill to his skin, pointed a firearm at him before dousing him with water in what prosecutors said was a simulated waterboarding. Now, the victim told them he thought he was going to drown. Men began brainstorming how the victim could help them lure the coworker to them. They provided him with a cell phone, were able to access his iCloud account to find the coworker's phone number and call him. When they learned the man was still at a business in Pompano Beach, Florida, they drove the victim there and asked him to get his coworker to come outside. Instead, at 2:08 a.m., the man phoned in a bomb threat in an effort to get rapid police response to the building. Very, very smart here, by the way. And the suspects were arrested by law enforcement and remained jail until Tuesday in Broward County, Florida. I was watching Killing Eve last night on the recommendation of Luganville.
Yeah, not a bad show.
No, it's not bad. Just started second season, and there's a situation where she calls in a bomb threat to get out of a certain situation.
Yep. And
it's actually pretty smart.
Second season's when it starts going downhill.
Okay, thanks.
That's where I stopped.
I'm not as disappointed about this going downhill as I am about a movie I was going to see tonight. But Speaking of that, perfect segue. Top 10 Martin Scorsese characters according to TheRinger.com.
How many of these do you think I've seen?
Oh, I will say that you've seen 2.
All right.
What about me?
Including the first one. I think you have seen 2.
Including the first one.
Including the first one.
No, I don't think you've seen the first one.
All right.
Gangs of New York, Bill the Butcher, Daniel Day-Lewis. Won Best Actor for this. I didn't like the movie altogether, but I thought his performance was incredible.
The movie had everything it needed for me to like it, and I just didn't like it. I mean, it had an amazing cast. I do think
Cameron Diaz
is badly miscast.
Yep.
But everybody else in the cast fantastic. I kind of like period pieces. I like mafia gang type stuff. I mean, it had all that, and it just wasn't good.
I've seen it.
Okay, that's a surprise.
Mainly because I thought at some point Cameron would get naked, but close.
This is the only one I haven't seen. I have not seen The King of Comedy, Robert De Niro's Rupert Pumpkin.
Not seen that one.
Nope,
Didn't even know that was a movie.
Yep.
Number 8 on the list, Ginger McKeenan, Sharon Stone at Casino. She was great in this role.
Yes. Yep. Seen it.
I mean, she was really, really good. Number 7, Fast Eddie Nelson, Paul Newman in The Color of Money.
Nope.
Color of Money, him and Tom Cruise?
Yep.
Yeah, seen it.
Wow. Pretty good on this list.
Number 6 on this list, way too low. Jordan Belfort, Leonardo DiCaprio, The Wolf of Wall Street. He is incredible in this.
Seen it multiple times.
Yep. As we said last week, there are a lot of people that say that's his best role, period.
It's one of them.
And that is a 3-hour movie.
It is a long movie.
He plays it way too seamless. I think he's been in some of these situations himself. Jonah Hill made the movie to me. Jonah Hill is not on this list. That was Jonah Hill's best role.
I agree with you. I think he was the best in the movie.
That looks like an Oregon Pinot Noir he's drinking. What does that pair well with?
An Oregon Pinot would pair well with a good piece of red meat.
Yeah.
Okay, number 5 on the list, Karen Hill, Lorraine Bracco. I think she won Best Supporting Actress for this role in Goodfellas.
Seen it?
Yep.
Fantastic movie. Love Goodfellas.
Number 4, Jake LaMotta. Robert De Niro portrayed Jake LaMotta in Raging Bull, 1980, one of the best sports films of all time.
Seen it.
Oh, my gosh.
That's one of the classics.
Number 3, I thought this would be number 1. Joe Pesci as Tommy DeVito in Goodfellas. That made his career.
Did it really? That was kind of what launched him?
He was already, I think he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor in Raging Bull as well, but this is really what put him over the top.
Did he go from that to Home Alone?
Yeah.
Yeah, Home Alone, and then
that was the next one,
Lethal
right?
Weapon 2.
Yeah.
I think they filmed them the same year, though.
Oh, the Goodfellas and Home Alone? Wow.
Is this it when they're at the table
Yeah.
and they start making fun of him for saying Utes?
No,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's a joke.
I do have a friend, and he and I agree on this, that says maybe one of the greatest scenes in cinematic history is when they show up to the restaurant.
Oh yeah, the way it's filmed.
Yes, just phenomenal.
Yeah, going through the restaurant,
through their kitchen, and then they put the table up front.
And that is back to Lorraine Bracco.
Yep.
Number 2 on the list, Ray Liotta. His performance as Henry Hill in Goodfellas. I thought it was a great performance, and it showed depth out of him. But I still think Pesci's character was better.
De Niro in the phone booth, man, that's hard to beat that part of the movie. That's some of the best acting in that movie. Don't you agree?
Beats the hell out of the phone
boy,
booth.
he does.
That's the diner right
got
there,
a little
too.
bad news.
Is this Ray's best role?
Yes. He was good in...
Unlawful Entry?
Yeah. Yeah, he sure was. But I don't know where I am. Well, that's your effing problem. Number 1 on the list, I'm not surprised. Robert De Niro as Travis Bickle in Taxi Driver. He was crazy as batshit. Not batshit crazy, crazy.
Especially when you take a first date with Sybil Shepherd to a porn movie. He didn't know it was. He didn't know it was wrong.
Hey, he didn't get that second date.
I've never seen Taxi
We
Driver.
are the people.
You love Taxi Driver. Raging Bull and Taxi Driver, too. I've heard you talk
No, I think
a lot
really
about.
good. Goodfellas is still the bar. I think The Departed is probably a little bit better, but those two are great movies.
Both of those in the 70s? Raging
Yeah.
Bull and Taxi Driver?
Well, the Raging Bull is 80, but Taxi Driver, yeah.
Yeah. 1980, literally 80, or?
Yeah, 1980.
Yeah, so sort of that period of time. That is Trash Today, brought to you by our friends at Mortgage Right.
Yeah, and our friends at Mortgage Right want to remind you they've got the expert there to help you get your financial house in order. Take control today. Visit Mortgage Right at their locations, Highway 280 in Birmingham, Parkway Drive in Leeds. You can apply. MortgageRight.com/TNR. Call 205-815-9200. NMLS 2239, Equal Housing Lender.
We'll make our picks for the weekend. Week 8 coming up in our pick 3. This hour of the show brought to you always by our friends at Champy's World Famous Fried Chicken. Sterling and the crew ready to serve you up lunch right now. Dinner tonight. Perfect date night. Megan will make the margaritas at the wonderful bar there. One thing he does, he brines his chicken the day before. Keeps it so juicy when he cooks it to order the next day. The hand-cut chicken fingers, the Mississippi Delta recipe tamale. Swing by and tell Sterling hi at Champy's Chicken, Highway 119 in Alabaster.
Follow Scott Forrester on Twitter at Scott Forrester TV.
Spring weather is here, and our friends at Hemphill Services are offering a $69 HVAC tune-up plus 10% off any service call when you mention the next round. Call Adam, Chad, and the guys at Hemphill Services. Make sure your HVAC unit is ready to keep up with the changing weather. Hemphill Services, locally owned and operated independent train dealer. The team can service all makes and models. For all of your plumbing, heating, and cooling needs, call Hemphill Services. It's hard to stop a train. 205-229-2090 or hemphillservices.com. That's 205-229-2090, hemphillservices.com.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the next round to tell you about our friends at New Life Art. Daniel A. Moore has completed his original full-color oil painting honoring Bryce Young, Alabama's 4th Heisman Trophy winner. This painting depicts the memorable Heisman-worthy go-ahead pinpoint pass to John Mechie in the corner of the end zone as the Tide dismantled the Vaughan, Georgia defense in the SEC championship game this past year. Use code TNR for 15% off. You can order online at danielmooreart.com.
Hey, if you're looking for Birmingham's best pizza, you need to stop in and see our friends at Slice Pizza and Brew. It's as local as you can get, from the ingredients that go into every pizza to the beer on tap. For a great lunch or dinner, go see our friends today, Vestavia or Lakeview at Slice.
Start your day online with our website, nextroundlive.com, for the latest videos, podcasts, and college football stories. It's also a great way to stream the show or shop in the Next Round store. Stay connected by visiting nextroundlive.com.
Do you need extra cash handy? Look no further than Legacy Credit Union for whatever loan your lifestyle requires. It only takes a few minutes to apply and request the amount you need to give you peace of mind. With affordable low rates and manageable payback plans, a Legacy Lifestyle loan is crafted just for you. Apply online today at legacycreditunion.com/join. Lifestyle loans from Legacy. Terms and conditions may apply. Legacy is federally insured by the NCUA.
The Double Down Media podcast family is live and full of content for all ages. The Mystery Fifth Hour gives the Next Round host a chance to talk about everything but sports. Pour a glass of Bama and bourbon, our weekly college football conversation while sipping some of the most interesting pours in the bourbon world. And our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call. LT takes off the gloves for an in-depth conversation with stars like Taylor Hicks, presented by Redmont Vodka. Find those podcasts and more by searching The Next Round on Apple, Spotify, and on our website, nextroundlive.com.
Going to a big football game? Walking around all day? Then you'll want comfortable shoes. This is Wes McClooney, owner of the New Balance Birmingham store. Score a touchdown with a new pair of ultra-comfortable running or walking shoes. Come to the New Balance Birmingham store. I'm telling you, we'll make sure you have a perfect fit and we'll treat you like the starting QB. Our job is to make sure your feet are happy. Visit the New Balance Birmingham store on Highway 280 next to Chick-fil-A. Your feet will thank you.
Before we give our picks, Rockstar, let's listen to a couple of more folks who will be part of the games this weekend. If you can give me number 4, number 8, and number 3 here. Number 4 is Tyler Booker. And you heard Nick Saban get asked about it by Jenny Dale last night. This thing is personal. And Nick said some nice things about that question, but the players have been talking about it being personal. Here's Tyler Booker earlier this week about that game last year in Knoxville.
What do you remember about last year's game, and what are you kind of telling the guys to make sure that maybe that doesn't happen again?
From last year's game, I remember a lot of missed assignments. I remember getting a lot of crucial penalties, not playing Alabama football, So what I'm going to reiterate to the team and talk to the team about this week is just making sure that we play consistent Alabama football and make sure that we execute when we need to, and not take our foot off the gas. I feel like when we're playing complementary football as far as the offense and defense goes, and more offensively when we're running and throwing the ball really well, I feel like we're one of the best teams in the country, but we just have to do that for 60 minutes.
Yeah, but they just like they did in that game last year, they continue to shoot themselves in the foot with those penalties all the time and steal things, missed assignments. Not a lot has changed, except their defense is playing better and their offense isn't playing as good as last year, but they're still making a lot of their own self-inflicted wounds.
Ultimately, the biggest moment in that game probably was a penalty. Now, you can debate on whether it should or should not have been called, and that was debated very, very vigorously. But the wipe-off of the Kool-Aid McKinstry interception, that's probably the difference in the game. I know Reichard missed the kick. Jahmyr Gibbs, if he catches that ball before Reichard's attempted kick, the game's probably over. A lot of things get into that game, but when you wiped away that Kool-Aid McKinstry interception, that was probably the biggest game.
How
biggest play of
venomous
the game.
do you think crowd will be to Tennessee fans tomorrow?
That's a great point, LT. Here's Josh Heupel. Like you almost know what it's about. Josh Heupel just talking about how important it is for Tennessee fans this weekend.
I just think the fan base, this is one that's circled. I've said it multiple times before I even got introduced at the press conference, met a couple of former players, but donors too. This is a game that matters to everybody in this fan base, and it matters to us too. It's always had huge implications in your race to try to get to Atlanta as well. So this is a big football game for us, huge test, really good football team. But it'll be a great afternoon.
To your point, you were up there last year in Knoxville. And how were Tennessee fans treating Alabama fans?
Well, I think it was a little different. So after the game, I saw some Alabama fans getting harassed, which you kind of expect. I think before the game, there was the optimism of we can finally snap this streak, but they weren't really chirping before. After the game is when the chirping really started. And I don't know what to expect here. I asked this question, though, to, I think it was Tom Luganbill earlier this week, and I don't know what you guys feel about this. But if Tennessee goes up there and physically comes down here and physically beats Alabama, wins the game, can you make an argument behind Georgia, second best team in the SEC?
Yeah, you've got to forget a little bit about that Florida game, obviously, but every team behind Georgia has had an obvious flaw, right? So, LSU's got a flaw. Alabama obviously has a flaw if that's the case. Kentucky, if you want to consider them, they've got a flaw. Missouri's got a flaw. So everybody's got a flaw. So, yeah, I think you make the argument, second best team in the conference. Would you make the same argument if Alabama physically dominates Tennessee?
Yeah, well, and I think then we come down to LSU, Alabama.
Right.
You know, who wins that game seems like is going to be the team that will represent. I know Ole Miss has got something to say about that. The team that will represent the West against Georgia.
And you've yet to pull the shoot on LSU, as some have. Some have pulled the shoot, and you're not doing it just yet.
Doing it.
Yeah, I understand that. I don't have Winsipedia in front of me, Brown.
I do.
If you can pull
What
it
you
up. When's the last time? Because this is a great stat.
Okay.
And I was going to send it out later, but I don't have it in front of me from my Twitter account. When's the last time these teams traded wins back and forth? Like, this has been such a streaky series.
Yeah.
Like, when a team wins, they usually win a few in a row. Like short streaks in this series seem to be 4 years.
You got to go back to 05-06, and 05 was the Rocky Block game. Roman Harper, that Alabama won 6-3 the next year. Tennessee won in Knoxville 16-13. The next year was Nick Saban's first year, and Alabama won 41-17.
Which
so
started
really,
the streak.
Yeah, 04 was Tennessee, 05 Alabama, 06 Tennessee, 07 Alabama. That's the last time it's really gone back and forth at all.
But if you even look before that, it's a big chunk. And for those that don't know Winsipedia, it blocks out the games by the color of your school. So you'll see a lot of orange, then a lot of red. A lot of orange, a lot of red.
Other than that, to your point, Dunaway, 94-95. 94 was Alabama. 95 ended the streak in Legion Field, right?
Right.
But if you want to just see back and forth,
it doesn't happen a lot.
Real back and forth, you got to go all the way back to the 40s.
Right.
45 Alabama, 46 Tennessee, 47 Alabama, 48 Tennessee. You had some games that didn't get played in that time because of the wars. It just doesn't happen very often. This is a very, very streaky
And I'm trying
series.
to think, games that I've seen in person, I don't know if I've seen more Alabama-Auburn or more Alabama-Tennessee.
Well, wow, that's crazy. I know
Just because I've been to Neyland for Alabama games, I think 4 or 5 times.
Yeah. I probably are ahead with Iron Bowls by 1, but not.
Oh, really? That close?
I usually go to both of these games.
Yeah.
Alabama-Auburn, Alabama-Tennessee every year.
I'm way ahead on Iron Bowls.
Yeah. And one more, Auburn hosting Ole Miss this weekend. Hugh Freeze and Lane Kiffin, which is really a big storyline to me, is just what Lane Kiffin almost was, right, to Auburn. I mean, for a moment there, it seemed like the fan base was growing, all right, it's going to be Lane Kiffin.
They wanted Lane Kiffin.
Yeah. And then it ends up being Hugh Freeze. And, there's no way you can say Lane Kiffin has yet to erase Hugh Freeze's memory in Oxford, right? There are a lot of Ole Miss fans that wish they still had Hugh Freeze.
Right.
So, and I think there are a lot of Auburn fans now that are pretty happy they've got Hugh Freeze. So really, Lane Kiffin in 2 places is overshadowed by Hugh Freeze at the place he almost went and the place he's at.
I would agree.
So there's a lot of pent-up stuff for Lane Kiffin coming to this game. For Hugh Freeze, though, he wishes his offense was a little more like it was back in his days at Ole Miss.
Y'all know, I mean, my whole history is I probably wouldn't be sitting here today if it wasn't for tempo offense and RPO world. And so it's a very uncomfortable feeling for me to not be in that world. But we are very, very, very thin. And you get in that kind of game with last week LSU, this week with Ole Miss, they want that kind of game. I mean, they thrive in that kind of game. And I just don't know. It's not working right now the other way either. So it's a struggle. If you say, hey, man, let's just go fast with them and see if we can do that, then you're asking Marcus Harris to play 80 snaps a game because, of just depth issues, or not just Marcus, but other defensive linemen, and I'm not sure that's smart either. So it's we're still kind of debating that. What's the right approach?
Buffalo Wild Wings brings us the Pick 3. LT, I'll tell you about them after we hear the Pick 3 song, Rockstar.
Pick 3, it's time for the Pick 3. 3 for you and 3 for me, that equals a Pick 3. Say goodbye to your family, it's time for the Pick 3. Only time that I'm happy is when it's time for Pick 3.
Tell us about Buffalo Wild Wings, man.
11 Central Alabama locations, including that new Buffalo Wild Wings Go location in Vestavia. They've been the #1 sports bar in Birmingham for over 20 years now. Wall-to-wall TVs, 26 sauces and seasonings, along with a full menu of great burgers, wraps, and salads. Get in this weekend to one of those great locations of Buffalo Wild Wings.
Here's the updated standings here on our pick 3 right now. LT is 11-10, leading the way. Dunaway is 9-12, and Brown is 8-13. Very close. 3 games separating the top to the bottom. Brown, you're dead last. Start us off.
I'm going to go with North Carolina minus the 23.5. I like what Tez Walker is doing, getting him going in that offense. Drake May, I think they're going to make a Heisman push for him. Colorado State plus 7.5 at UNLV. And then Duke plus the 14.5. See, everybody thinks Riley Leonard's not playing. Duke going to get run out. I think that Kevin Elko, if he doesn't play, that Kevin Elko defense will have something to say about that. Duke plus the 14.5.
I like UNLV in the Colorado State
game. Do you,
game.
Jim?
Yeah. What do you have?
Bet against me.
You're in first. Let me go next. I'm sorry. I'm going to go Tennessee, threading a needle here. Tennessee inside the number. Hopefully Alabama wins the game. I'm with you on North Carolina. This team sucks.
Yeah, Virginia's awful.
Yeah, their only win this year is against William and Mary.
Both of them.
Take a look at that.
Best
now.
sneaky good game.
Too.
Toledo at Miami of Ohio. I'll take Toledo, give the 2. We make it 2.5 because you got to make half points there in our game. LT, you're our leader. What do you have?
I don't think I've ever done this in the same pick 3. Got Alabama minus 8.5. I'm just throwing an Auburn Paul up there plus 6.5 and fight on minus 6.5 USC.
So you've got 2 teams you cover and the team you love on there. Wow.
I feel good about all 3.
Alabama, Auburn, and USC.
Yeah.
Alabama, Auburn, and USC is your pick 3 there. And that is the Buffalo Wild Wing pick 3. You can go play right there at nextroundlive.com. Nextroundlive.com. It's real easy. You'll see pick 3. You'll see the Buffalo Wild Wings logo. Click on that, and that's where you'll play.
Also, nextround.store, we got a sale going this weekend.
What do we have?
Well, we're getting some new merchandise in. So, Rockstar, once again, we've ordered too much merchandise.
Too many tractor trailers.
Too many tractor trailer loads.
Merch.
We got to make room for it. A lot of stuff. Most items, in fact, 20% off the spooky sale.
What in the world is that skeleton doing?
Yeah, that scares me a little
and
bit there.
Free shipping when you spend over $50. We'll pay for the shipping right there at nextround.store. Nextround.store this weekend.
Wow, that is a wide open sale at the next round.
That's right.
Spooky
Trying
sale.
to get rid of all of it. Trying to empty out, Jim.
Yes.
Got to empty out.
20% off.
Gotta get rid of the 2023s for the 2024s.
That's right. But once again, we've ordered too many T-shirts.
I can't wait 20 years from now. Brown will be like, it's our final going out of business sale.
We are liquidating the whole store.
Based on my my vantage point here, I thought that was going to be a Halloween shirt for us. I was like, oh no, that's a happy skeleton.
Really happy skeleton. Happy. All right, that's our show today. Don't forget, we're 9 a.m. tomorrow morning with our kickoff show. Then sometime after the Auburn game for our post-game show tomorrow night. Just set your alerts on all the video platforms. We roll on. What's on our overtime today? Anybody know?
Talk of Champions,
Talk
your
of
show.
Champions with
Was it a
Tyler
good one?
Watts. It really wasn't. Tyler was fantastic.
Respect the process.
I was a little hungover.
Oh, respect the process?
Respect the process.
Respect
Kelly
the
Hunter,
process.
Chris Stewart.
See, it was so good we flipped it to respect the process. Chris Stewart and Kelly Hunter has got that for us. That's coming up. Don't change anything. More Alabama program continues. Until next time, God bless you and God bless America.
Jim Dunaway, Lance.
Another episode of Respect the Process is back, and it's a big week. You were walking in, and people are addressing you in Go Vols.
Yeah,
I mean,
the one. Here's the amazing thing. I was in Knoxville, Tennessee earlier today as we're putting this together. I was there last night. I didn't hear Go Vols one time in the 20 hours that I was in Knoxville, but I got it as I walked in here from a guy. You better get it in quick. You're not going to have much more time, and then hopefully it'll go back to like it was for 16 years prior to the other day.
So last week I said, can we count on this offense to win a game? And lo and behold, they had the sustaining drive, great pass. You are watching it, and it's still maddening at times, but I felt like we watched the offense mature.
Yeah, I agree. To do what they had to do on that final drive. as was the case with a different quarterback, different team, different opponent, but it happened against South Florida to finish that ball game. In essence, they did that against Texas A&M, but the game Saturday, I was impressed with what they did late after not being very impressed on basically every drive in between, from the first one where they got 3 to the last one of the second half when they got the clock to run out.
Right.
Basically no points, but played keep away. Those two were really good. There were a few in between in the first half that were nice, but tough second half.
But there was, to me, a shining moment. It was third quarter, 3rd and 3, and they were inside the 20. Milroe back to pass. He's looking, and it almost, you could see him thinking, if I force this, it's a pick.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think that was a moment right there where, again, it's coming to him in increments.
It is. Still, 4 or 5 sacks that they gave up, and 2, 3 of those are on him. It's not the offensive line, even though they've got their share of the responsibility and the blame. But he did a nice job by and large. But there's 2 or 3 where he held on to it too long. Now, help me. No picks, no turnovers Saturday. So better in that regard, protecting it better. The throw he made to, good grief, I'm drawing a blank on when exactly it occurred, but he had a 3rd down pass where he's backpedaling, and I mean barely threw it over the defender's arms. I'm watching from a box in the end zone, the north zone, and you're watching, it looks like he has thrown an interception. And it looks like it just barely gets over the linebacker's hands or head. And as it turned out, when you watch it through the camera, it was a perfect throw. But really contested. He's making some nice throws. He's got to avoid making the big mistakes, and I think he's doing a better job of that.
Because I can't stop with a movie reference. I love a good movie reference, and I was thinking about this, that we're going to Days of Thunder with Cole Trickle and Harry Hogg, and we get to about the maybe first third of the movie. It's not going well, and they sit them both down, and they have to figure out a way to communicate, because what Cole's telling Harry, it's not working. And I kind of feel like maybe Jalen and Tommy are still trying to figure that out, because Jalen is a redshirt sophomore. Tommy's still pretty young. He's in the coaching world. I sometimes feel like the two of them are still
trying to get on the same page.
Because also I feel like if Jalen maybe were not a redshirt sophomore and were older, he might be more confident and assertive at times when he knew to make the decision.
We talked about this last week, 2 weeks ago. I can't remember when it was, but if this were the old days or even 5-10 years ago, everybody's talking about how great Jalen Milroe is going to be. But because we're coming on the heels of Jalen Hurts, Tua, Mac, and then Bryce Young.
Yeah.
There's no patience anymore.
No.
Because it's been...
We don't rebuild, we reload.
No, we reload. And that's the mindset of people. But Jalen Milroe is starting to get this better and better. Now, look, he goes 7 of 10 in the first half, but he goes 3 of 11 in the second. So he's clearly got to get better and more consistent for them to be who Bama fans want them to be. But we do see flashes that things are definitely improving on the good days, and the bad is not as bad as it was earlier in the year. The incompletions aren't good. There was clearly not as much confidence, but there's not the same number of mistakes that have resulted in turnovers that we saw earlier. That is, knock on wood, that is getting better, and it's got to against Tennessee if they're going to come out with a win. I'm really looking forward to seeing how they respond to this, and can they, because they dodged a bullet. The defense did the job for them, and they got They got the ball back, and as we said, bled the clock at the end of that game. But I want to see them in this type of environment against this type of opponent where you're taking a major step. It's not done, but you're taking a major step towards Atlanta if you can find a way to get this one done in Tuscaloosa.
Should we expect more from the wide receivers?
I would say consistency, discipline is not too much to ask for. But I think they're producing at a pretty decent level. Are
there too many wide receivers and running backs? Are we not getting enough reps for maybe the top 4?
It's a good question. I think that pretty much plays itself out. Who's getting the separation, but also Jalen's, going with who he's confident in.
Yeah.
I think it was Blake Sims, where if he didn't see Amari Cooper open, he was just going to go ahead and,
that's right.
I'm going to run it or I'm going to throw it away. I'm going to look at Amari. Then if Amari's not open, I'm going to buy some time and I'm going to look see if Amari's open, and then I'm just going to run it. Not a bad formula, by the way, but I do think he can get 2 locked in on one guy, and Jermaine Burton's been that, and then Jermaine will struggle with some stuff. It's not even live ball stuff. We talked about it. I'm not going to continue to go there, but it's more dead ball stuff with Jermaine that can be an issue for him, but super talented, and if he can continue to play at that level, then this team's got a chance to be really dangerous going forward.
I mean, one thing about the offense, not one thing, several things about the offense, but one thing in particular, they do not have a great deal of sustained drives. The defense is on the field a lot.
Even big plays can get you off the field in a hurry.
Exactly. So it's, to the defensive credit, not only are they getting it done, they are on the field
a lot. Well, it's a pretty deep group.
Yeah.
Not as deep when you didn't have Malachi Moore last week or for the last game and a half.
How does he look for this week?
Here's what I would say there. If you see him in uniform, and we did on Saturday, even though he didn't play, if you saw him in uniform, that means he's at least trending the right direction. And I know that was a tight game, and Coach is going to play a guy if he's ready. He's not going to play him if he's not ready, regardless of who the opponent is. But the reality is he is, I think, in greater need this weekend than he was last week. So you get him healthy, you get him back to where it's not just able to play in the next game, but if he's really healthy, then he's able to sustain things where he can play further going down the line. So hopefully you will see him, and I would be a little surprised if you don't.
In the Nick Saban show that y'all did this week, and I watched this week's, not last year's, but I watched this week's.
Sorry, it just caught that. Nice,
believe me.
Nice reference.
Coach took time out, and he made a statement to not just college football players, but football players of all levels, in talking about the face mask penalty.
Yeah.
And he made a point to talk about how it not just affects you, it affects the whole team.
Change the game.
And I thought that was very poignant that he made such a point to do it in the show, and I have to imagine the point he has tried to make to his team.
So interesting in all of that is hearing him say, I guess during the press conference on Monday, he tries to send a message to the team, which is exactly what Coach Bryant used to do with his television show. When there was far less, I'm not going to say media coverage, but media accessibility.
Right, yeah.
And the immediacy of it. For most of us growing up, watching the Bear Bryant show on Sunday afternoons at 4:30, that may be the first time you saw highlights of an Alabama game the entire weekend. If you weren't at the game, it wasn't televised, and keep in mind that for so many years, up until early 80s, you could only be shown on the regular season twice a year on television. That was an NCAA rule. So seeing highlights were a big deal. So people are watching Coach Bryant's show, and he absolutely used that platform to talk to the players, knowing they were going to be watching, to the coaches as well. Mal Moore talked about that and how he knew if he got called out on the TV show, Coach wasn't happy because there was a play where there was a missed tackle or whatever, and or I guess it would have been offensively, so it was a drop ball or something. And he goes, "That's not the way we teach it here, Coach Moore."
Oh,
said
by
it
name.
flat out.
By name.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So that show was used to send a message. Nick Saban talks about how he uses his show for that very same purpose, and in making statements so that they're hopefully heard by players, by coaches, and by everybody else, to try to get everybody on the same page and the mindset going the way that he wants it to go. And yeah, I think that message can be received, although he said the halftime message wasn't very well received. He said, "We'll just ball that up and throw it away."
Well, it's that fine line of trying to find some nasty in a team and also maintaining poise. Not hurt. And we talked about it earlier with Jermaine Burton of celebrating with your team versus celebrating yourself and getting a penalty. And also, this team is not in a position to be able to get away with a penalty like that.
No, they're not. The margin for error is not the same. I think this team can win a national championship. I do. I think they're good enough to do that if they continue to grow, build, stay healthy, and catch a break here or there. I do. I think they're good enough to do that. The margin for error is not what some of the other teams have had, though, that have won titles or been in position for that. So I think it'll be very interesting to watch how that all plays out.
And obviously, Tennessee coming in to Bryant-Denny this week.
I've heard.
I think it was on the news.
I
think it was in the newspaper probably. But, you know, historically, this is a big game for the fans. This is a big game, third Saturday in October. But for you, I'm just imagining as someone who plays for Alabama at this point, it may not be the same thing as next game up or next man up versus it being, this is Tennessee.
Yeah. Look, I don't know that many games mean the same thing because you have so many guys from different parts of the country, some guys that are one-year players, others that are four-year guys. I just don't know. I'm not saying it doesn't, but I think what we thought of as rivalry games and big weeks, big games, I don't know if, I'm not saying they care less about winning, but I just don't know that those things historically and traditionally mean as much as they once did.
They're not playing Rocky Top every day and
practicing. Probably not. They might. You know, they may do that when they're going to play them on the road because it helps you acclimate to that. But it's not something that causes you to see fire when you're a kid, because a lot of those kids don't know. Some do. Some of them absolutely do. I think it's bigger for the adults like me that know the history.
That have people stop you in the hall.
People stop you in the hall, but also, you know, when Alabama won 16 straight, and there's all the conversation about, you know, does it mean the same? You know, does it still matter? I'm like, heck yeah. I remember what Tennessee did. I remember what Phil Fulmer did. You better believe it's one thing to lose and have somebody beat you, but when somebody tries to destroy you, then you don't forget that. And 16 wasn't enough. 17 would not have been enough. 117 may not have been enough. But the reality is they got to smoke cigars last year. And when I went to Knoxville, one of the gifts I was presented was a cigar to be ready.
Would you smoke a cigar?
Absolutely. In fact, when I was having all my health issues, I was coming off my stroke. It was before I had the bypass surgery. Jay Sharma was my physician, and he goes, do you, I said, Jay, what can I do to avoid another
stroke.
Yeah.
What can I do to avoid this? He goes, well, Chris, your background says that the stroke was a total fluke. He goes, do you drink? I said, Jay, I'll have a bottle of red wine every 2-3 weeks. He said, that really doesn't count as drinking. Do you smoke? I said, absolutely. One cigar every third Saturday in October. At that time, for 12 straight years, I said, I intend to keep doing it, certainly as long as Nick Saban's there.
Yeah.
He said, well, that doesn't count as smoking either. I said, good, because I'm going to keep doing it.
That's right.
And I know where the lighter is. I know now where my cigar is. And I will be ready Saturday should it go the way I want it to. It is amazing, I will say. It's been a long time since I've smelled cigar smoke where I didn't think it smelled very good. And when I was in Knoxville last year, it did not smell good.
Putrid.
It was
I can only
awful,
imagine.
awful.
I know you just came back from Knoxville literally just now. Up there giving State of the Union addresses or, I mean, trying to rally support amongst the Crimson that do live in an orange state?
You know, the thing that was really cool is that is one of the biggest and best chapters and financially strong alumni chapters for the University of Alabama anywhere outside the state of Alabama. And they give a lot in terms of scholarships. They do a bunch of events. You know, I was joking with them about being missionaries. You know, they're
trying to convert,
trying to spread the word behind enemy lines. And you know, I wasn't going trying to encourage them. They were just spitting venom. They were ready to get a win. They were glad to have anybody wearing crimson come join them, and they've got a great group, and it was fun to be with them. But man, they don't need encouragement. They're ready. They smell blood and they want it.
Well, and you know, the Tennessee game is big, but almost over the past 10 years, the LSU game has become.
I agree. 20 years probably.
Because it's got, I mean, you know, we had the emotion there for a while of Saban versus former team.
Before that, you had Saban at LSU versus Fran at Alabama. You never forget, if we'd known then what we know now, we wish that Nick had mopped up the floor with him. But you know, Fran beats him pretty bad and then has a finger in his face afterwards. And, you know, we foolishly liked that at the time, never knowing that guy that he was pointing the finger at would be one of the greatest coaches in the history of college football, and he would be ours.
But it is interesting that, you know, that game has elevated. I mean, Auburn will always be there.
Sure.
You know, LSU is right up there. I'm not saying Tennessee is diminished at all. It's just it's a different animal.
To the younger fans, I think it has.
Yeah.
To the old guard, and I don't say that disrespectfully, but people older than I that remember when Tennessee and Alabama were parallel, and General Neyland and Coach Bryant, that go back to that real history a long time ago. It means a lot. But I think, again, for people like myself and maybe a little bit younger that remember everything with the NCAA and Phil Fulmer's involvement, and, again, the belief that he didn't just try to beat Alabama, he tried to destroy Alabama.
Yeah.
That to have them be on the wrong end of the score so many times in a row, and to have these struggles that they've had, and
meanwhile to have Spurrier lobbing grenades from a distance to just keep stirring the pot.
It was so much fun to have Steve Spurrier do that. All of those things, I think, factor into why that one is still big and that one's still personal. On the field, LSU has certainly had much more on the line than Alabama, Tennessee. Alabama, Auburn, it doesn't matter what's going on. It's always going to be Alabama, Auburn. But in the recent history, it's been much more competitive with LSU. But this one means a lot coming up on Saturday.
Now, we know that Tennessee, they're gonna be headhunting. They're gonna blitz.
Right.
It's Alabama trying to figure out how to slow this down.
And that's been an issue, whether it was South Florida or whether it was Texas A&M or Arkansas, and will be the case against Tennessee. They've got some talent there. They can absolutely create problems. Can Jalen hang on to the football, or in this case, get rid of it sooner, not hang on to it, without a change of possession occurring, but also giving him enough time for those deep throws where he has been so good this year. And can the receivers for Alabama create the separation that they did against Arkansas and certainly against Texas A&M? That's going to be a big question mark in this one, because they will absolutely try to spend the day in the backfield defensively.
Do you have a favorite one? A favorite game to call? Is there a favorite one that you kind of circle on your calendar? And
for me to do the play-by-play for?
It's a fun one.
You know, I won't do the play-by-play Saturday.
Yeah.
This year it's tough. It was really cool to go back to College Station and to win that game the way you did at the end, as they did the year before, although slightly different, but a lot of similarities to that. Calling my first Iron Bowl last year was something I will never forget. It was unbelievable to get that opportunity. The bowl game, because it was the Sugar Bowl, even though it didn't have the championship on the line, with it being Bryce and Will's last game, last time in a Bama uniform, and again, it was the Sugar Bowl, and growing up, watching that, knowing what it meant, and still does mean a lot. But those were very special for me last year, and hopeful that there'll be many more like that to come. I think I've got 2 more left. I'll have at Kentucky, and where else do we go on the road besides Auburn?
That's a good question.
I've got 2 more left, but anyway,
I'm just looking.
I'll show up. I'm at every game, and
Okay,
I'll sit or stand where they tell me to, and do what I'm told to do. But this is a time of year where it's going to be really important. Every game will matter. But even though it was a loss, getting to be there and broadcast for Alabama against Tennessee was something that meant a lot. It just really sucked afterwards, trying to fight the crowd and get down to the locker room and do Coach's TV show.
Well, and I think going back to what we said, this is more of a revenge game in terms of, I would have to imagine the team looking at it versus whatever jersey it is. They lost to Tennessee in Knoxville last year.
And it'll be the same way when you play LSU and Tuscaloosa coming up in just a few weeks as well. Both will mean an awful lot.
But, I mean, with the exception of Malachi, they've stayed freakishly healthy so far.
Yeah, so far. But again, it only takes one, and the wrong one at the wrong time, and things can look dramatically different.
But still, I think a lot of optimism going into this week. I mean,
no doubt. I mean, it should be.
Yeah.
Now, you can't be ridiculously optimistic and think that no matter how you play, you're going to be just fine.
Yeah.
This is not the year when Lane Kiffin brought a team in from Knoxville that was...
Boy, those were easy to hate.
It was easy to hate, but they were far inferior to Alabama. Bama played terrible that day. Tennessee played as well as they could, and it still wasn't good enough to get a win. If there's as much of a disparity in how you play, then that way it'll go the way of Tennessee, because there's not as much of a disparity in the talent level as there was back then. So this is one where you definitely have to play well. You can't help the other side. But if you play your best, then Alabama's best will be good enough to get a win.
Is this what you always wanted to do? I mean, not this show.
I've always wanted to do a show with you on a web-based platform since I was 7 years old.
Exactly.
That was the case.
It was the vision.
Being a sportscaster is something that I probably wanted to do since I was around 4 or 5 years old. I used to pretend that I was Coward Hosell.
Yes.
Because that's what I thought Howard Cosell's name was.
Sounds good enough to me.
I have people that have known me since I was a very small child that say I used to always talk about being play-by-play announcer for Alabama. I don't remember that. I remember talking about wanting to be a sportscaster and being on TV. But there are some that swear I talked about being the voice of the Crimson Tide one day. Excuse me. So I'm beyond blessed that I get the opportunity that I do. It's fun. This is a job that if I was doing it at a half dozen places around the country, there are some others that are in a similar vein, but it wouldn't mean as much because it's not home.
Yeah.
You know, I've been a Bama fan my whole life, and that's pretty special. But it's a bigger deal to me, frankly, because of people that have known me for any length of time, to see the kick they get out of it.
Absolutely.
And I can go back to people that have known me truly my whole life, but people that you and I have known or worked with in our careers that, you know, I interned at what was then WBRC 6 before it was Fox 6. It was still an ABC affiliate. Ron Grillo, who was there long before you, but Ron helped, you know, gave me the opportunity to intern, and I was around Rick. Carly was the sports director at the time, and I was actually at 6 interning when Mike Rada came to Birmingham from Cincinnati.
Yep.
So I worked with those guys. I've known those guys, and they've both been very kind. They're among a long, long list of people that have said, you know, it's really cool to see where you are and what you're getting to do. Yeah. And for people that have invested anything in me, whether it was time, talent, emotion, prayer, whatever it may be, for them to take some ownership in whatever level of success they may think that I've had, then I'm really grateful they get to share in it, because I don't believe I get to do what I'm doing without other people pouring into me in some way.
Well, and not only do you get to do it where it's home, it matters. It means something.
It does, in a big way.
This is something that year in, year out,
yeah.
Alabama is in a conversation for some sort of national championship, be it football, basketball, baseball.
There are a lot of places where doing the job that I do is really cool and a lot of fun. There are very few that historically mean what Alabama does, especially football. But the brand of the Crimson Tide is so iconic, it reaches so far, and within the state there is such a passion for it that it is, I do still pinch myself. Can't believe I get to do it.
When did you get your first start? Like, what was your entry level?
I really have to attribute it to Montevallo and being a student. University of Montevallo, a broadcast news class, news production class, where I got a chance to anchor. That same freshman year, I also was in sports production, where we literally televised men's and women's home basketball and volleyball matches on a local cable access channel that might have gone out to 3,000 homes. I don't know how many it could reach, and I guarantee you 3,000 people never saw it at one time, if collectively during my 4 years. But it was before the internet, so cable access was still relevant. It mattered because it was one of your few options that you could find. And so broadcasting those games, the coaching staffs were so good to me at Montevallo and patient with me because I had no clue what I was doing. I got to learn on the job. Nobody taught me how to do play-by-play, but they gave me the skills. They helped me with writing and gave me opportunity that led to me getting those chances, but also working for I said nobody was watching the TV. Nobody was really listening at all to the radio for an AM daytime only station called WBYE. I tell people I'm so old that my first boss was Benjamin Franklin.
I seek those out. Come on. Yeah.
That was his name, was Benjamin Franklin. And he seemed that old, rest his soul, but he was very kind, and I'll never forget him sitting back behind his desk saying, "You're my sportsman." So I'm doing sports and it just gave me the entry to go and cover a ton of things that I couldn't have otherwise, and put me in places where I was around real professionals who I would, kind of follow what they did. The ones I really liked, I try to emulate. The ones that I didn't, I tried to stay away from what they did. But got to meet so many people in the market that were so helpful to me down the road and getting my career going.
You create your own luck. That's what my dad always told me.
Dad was a wise man.
The harder you work, the luckier you seem to be sometimes.
That's true.
Okay, so would you say that we, this weekend, would put the score in the 20 to 30 range or above 30?
Oh, I will take 30 right now and start looking for a lighter. I'm not saying that's a guarantee, but I'd feel very good about my opportunity to light a victory cigar if I saw 30 for the Crimson Tide.
I like it.
Okay.
So we can look for you this weekend in Tuscaloosa.
Look for
on
me.
The Nick Saban Show is also doing the pregame and postgame interviews.
Correct.
And we can also find you at
Chris Stewart Online CStewart.com and also Twitter at C Stewart Sports or X, whatever we're calling it. But do a podcast normally early in the week, a very brief podcast. It's on the website and on the social media platforms. And excited to get a chance to do that before we really dive deeper into stuff, thanks to your hard work and setting things up every week.
Oh, stop it. But next we can find you in the carpool line.
That's
because,
right. If I get there in time, we will.
We will get you there in time.
I'm headed there.
But before we leave, we need to at least have one before you light a cigar.
I'm going to practice. It's important that you stretch. So this is me stretching and roll Tide.
For Chris Stewart, Kelly Hunter, respect the process. We will see you next week.